What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I'm always your host, Edwin, where the wall fights start. Round one. What's up, guys? What's up? How you guys doing? Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Really helps with the visibility of the channel. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and become a Round One Sports Talk member. We have a lot of boxing here today. We have Ben Whitaker out there in the UK. If you want to check out that fight, there's a lot of fights going on today in boxing, but I wanted to hop on and quickly talk about a lot of things that have been going around in boxing, and just to you know, bring this to the light, like the Devin Haney situation. What do you guys feel about this Esau Pitbull Cruz situation? And that also would have tied into the Subriel Matias situation. There's a lot of boxing to discuss. So stick around, hit that thumbs up button, and let's get right into this episode. Let me make sure that we're hearing everything's on the up and up here. I just want to check. Hold on. Just gotta make sure. All right, here we go. Good. So, fight fans, one of the biggest things that are going around right now is this Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney situation in boxing. It seems like some people are yelling the fix is in, or that Brian Norman Jr. didn't look like himself, or that Devin Haney performed above average, that he like shocked everybody. Like, where was this version of Devin Haney? He never hit like this, he never fought like this, all kinds of things, that he was a runner, pillow fisted, chinny. You've heard all the comments about Devin Haney, right? So, you know, I think that this fight right here is a very important fight in boxing. And this is where we need to wake up as boxing fans. We need to wake up and just recognize when a person straight up loses a fight. And you got to accept what happened. Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr., there's nothing in my mind that I would ever believe that they would take a dive for the ATL, at titles. They haven't won a lot of titles in a lot of sports, football, baseball, you name it. So him bringing that belt back home would have been really big, really big. And beating Devin Haney would even been bigger on his resume. What would you have given him or paid him to pass all that up when you're not even the main event? You're not making main event money. And as far as Devin Haney, everybody just got to chill for a second. Let's all go back and watch the fight again. For your conspiracy theorists and the people that say he's on snack and that the snack gave him snack power and that all of a sudden he fought like a superior fighter, we got to slow down from what the information we're being told. Why? Because Devin Haney did nothing, and I mean nothing spectacular against Brian Norman Jr. on that night. In fact, he looked like a mediocre version of Devin Haney. He fought well, but he still fought very cautious. In the Regis Progress fight, it was the same power that he dropped Brian Norman Jr. with, the same movement, but he was more active in the Regis Progress fight, although he played it safe. Same version of Devin Haney that beat Brian Norman Jr. He was just that much better than him. Brian Norman Jr. finally got in the ring with a person that was a bit faster than him, punched pretty hard and wasn't afraid of him. And wasn't just welting under Brian Norman Jr.'s power. What happened was you saw Devin Haney come in there, take Brian Norman Jr.'s punch power pretty well, and start fighting him. He outboxed him at times. At times, he outpowered him because he was the only one that dropped him in the fight. And I saw Brian Norman Jr.'s face after the fight. Some of them, that injury had to do in part with a headbutt. There was a head clash. Yeah, it did. But Devin Haney showed him no mercy. So, I mean, this performance that Devin Haney did put up was a good performance, but it wasn't his best by far. And for all this, the fix was in, this, that, I'm like, wait, well, hold up. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, guys. There's a point in life where you have to say to yourself, stop making excuses or something had to have gone wrong. Nah, he lost the fight. You know, he lost the fight. That's it. You know, I think that this was a good fight right here for both gentlemen. I think that Brian Norman Jr. is going to be back stronger than ever, and he'll be back up in the mix. I think he'll be a world champion again, maybe in another division, maybe in this one. You know, but don't take anything away from Brian Norman Jr. He still is who he is. Listen, okay, Brian Norman Jr. so far has lost to one guy. One guy. So apparently, 99% of everybody else lost to him so far. He's not trash. And just remember, he's one of our guys. He represents the USA, and we need him to be a champion to bring a belt back. Keyshawn Davis moving up. There's a lot of things going on. Even in the headlines with Subriel Matias, right, at the 140-pound weight division, right, a division lower than now newly crowned Devin Haney. And in that situation with Subriel Matias, although no official verdict has been really handed down, the thing is that if we were just to make an educated boxing guess, now let's just go over the facts. He popped positive for a 0.085, right? Okay. What does that mean? That under the doping agency, that's not enough to give you an advantage. It doesn't prove that you were coming off of a cycle due to the fact we just tested you 10 or 15 days prior to that and you came out negative. So all the information and all the evidence lines up to a tainted substance. So what you have in your body is clearly won't give you enough to give you an advantage. And as we all know, because of Ryan Garcia, we've all looked up Ostarine and its effects. Its main effects, it gives you power. It gives you strength and helps you with cutting weight while keeping muscle gain and power. For that you can have the full effect of Ostarine, you must be on it for about roughly 14 days, right? 3 grams a day will give you the effects of it. It will. You could take Ostarine for 1 day, and all you need is 3 grams of it. You will feel an effect of it. But for the full effect of Ostarine to kick in, so that you cut all your fat weight, your water, and you turn it all into muscle, and you're extra strong, it's 14 to 15 days. So these doping policies and stuff, and people say, who determines how much should be in your system, right? Okay, it's usually the state you're fighting in. Since we're in New York City, it's under New York City's guidelines to Ostarine. Now, Ostarine is a banned substance in and out of boxing, no matter what. You can't have that kind of shit in your body whatsoever. But under the law and their investigation, what it seems like it just might be is that we can prove that it was a tainted substance and it was not enough to affect the athlete whatsoever. Whatsoever. We can determine whether or not he was coming off cycling, whether or not he was using it to get an advantage. And another thing is the WBC. See, it's like kind of like in a court case, right? Say you have committed a crime on a store, and the store owner says, "Nah, I don't want to pursue it," right? But the state can pick it up. They can pick up the case, and they didn't want to prosecute the store, but the state can pick it up. Same thing. If the WBC makes us think about this, now the New York Boxing Athletic Committee got to pick up the case. If the WBC doesn't want to pick it up, they can still pick it up. You feel me? Because once upon a time, there was a fighter fighting for the WBC by name of Saul Canelo Alvarez. And his levels, remember this, guys, was almost under the threshold. What did the WBC do? They raised the amount of the threshold so that it was above Saul's level so that he would get not guilty. Remember when they did that? The WBC did that. You see? So, in comparison to what Ryan had, to what they found in Subriel, it's a different ball game. Ryan had 60 times over the limit. 60 times over the limit. It might have been minograms or whatever, but I do know if you go right now and you read, like we've all done this because of Ryan's case, I did it like, I don't know, 10 times. You need 3 grams of it in your system, and it only takes 1 day. That's all it takes. You will feel some effect of that Ostrine in that 1 day you took 3 grams, but you would have to have at least that amount in your system to get an effect out of it. If not, if you're microdosing it, and then it said that shit is so bad, you can only be on that stuff. They're saying for like, I think 90 days. If you do not cycle off correctly, they say you're gonna need help. You're gonna have to get into like a 12-step to get off of that stuff. They say that stuff is highly bad. Like, that shit is really bad. So, like, I looked up all that shit. So, because I wanted to see if Subriel was guilty. And the problem with these kind of situations is that we are, as fighters, they are responsible for what goes into their system, into their body, no matter what. No matter what the excuse is, you can prove your innocence. You can do whatever you want. See, WADA's only there to report their findings. Although these findings on a normal day would have never been reported because he hadn't even passed the threshold to be reported. He hadn't gotten to the point where that, okay, you're busted. He didn't reach that threshold. So it should have never been reported. You understand? Because they can't even find him guilty because you're not over the threshold to have a case. You see? So, in my experience, the fight is going to conclude. We've been in worse situations where fighters tested positive, and I mean their levels were through the roof, and they let the fight go. For an example, Ryan Garcia tested positive before the fight and after the fight. So the doping agency knew about him being positive for Ostrine before the fight. They let the fight continue. with Gerald Miller before the fight with AJ. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. What were they going to do? There's been a lot of situations where the guys actually tested positive for real steroid, real levels, and they allowed the fight to continue. And then I think that they might have backed off because I think that their whole plan of getting Subriel stripped and having Dalton Smith fight who? Alberto Puello? And they'll fight for the belt. I think their whole plan was going to fall to the wayside when they finally realized that even if you strip Subriel Matias, I don't think Dalton Smith and Alberto Puello can fight for that belt. In fact, what I think needs to happen and what would happen is that Isaac Pitbull Cruz gets elevated to full status because he has the interim to Subriel's title at 140. So if they kept pushing, and let's say they did all this to get him stripped so that they would have actually fucked around and not got Dalton Smith no fight. Because Isaac Pitbull Cruz is scheduled to fight Lamont Roach. And their fight would have been for the full status of the WBC 140-pound belt. That's what probably would have happened. They thought that they was going to leak the story, try to get Subriel stripped, put some pressure on him, Turkey and all these guys and Ed Hearn, Matchroom, and they were going to take Dalton Smith and put him against and put some pressure on the WBC. When they probably all realized, oh shit, wait a minute. Isaac, he got the freaking interim. You know how the WBC does it. They're gonna hit him with the email notification. You are now full status champion. And Dalton Smith would have, and you know who would have got the title shot? Lamont Roach would have got the title shot for Subriel Matias' belt. No one we would have thought. It wouldn't have been Dalton Smith. It would have been Alberto Puello. It would have been none of them dudes. And I think that's why the story died down a little. Because you seen how hard they were going after Subriel. Then all of a sudden, like, I haven't heard shit. But a bunch of people on social media arguing back and forth about situations that we really don't know about. You know what I'm saying? I talk like, as you know, we all have opinions. Assholes are like opinions are like assholes. We all have one, right? And we're gonna give our opinion on it because we report on the sport. But I'm not a scientist. I don't deal in steroids or PEs. In fact, in my entire life on this planet, I've never actually seen a PE or a steroid. Like in front of me, like you put it in my hand, oh yeah, that's this. No. I've never, I don't know what they look like. I've never, so I can't tell you exactly, like about this shit because I'd be lying. You know what I mean? Like what does 0.085 mean? And why is the threshold 0.100 if it's a banned substance in and out? Right? So, okay. There has to be a point where what they're saying is you can be dirty for a drug. Let's say, I don't know, let's say you were smoking a cigarette, right? And okay, let's say you wanted a cigarette. And let's say you asked your friend for one, and she had her pack of cigarettes with her weed. She had her joint inside the cigarette pack. Some of the weed fell out, went underneath the cigarette, squashed against the cigarette. She gives you the cigarette. You light it. All it was some flakes of weed. You go to work. The next day, they test you. You pop positive for marijuana. Now, were you high? Did you feel the effects of the marijuana? Probably not. Did you even know that you were dirty from marijuana or where it came from? Could you figure it out? Did you think that that cigarette she gave you, that there were flakes of her marijuana in her pack of cigarettes? And by her going like this with it or moving around, it got underneath the cigarette. So you tested positive for marijuana. You're scratching your head. When were you high? You see, you didn't get high. You didn't feel the effects of it, but you're dirty. You see, is that what they're saying? You didn't get any effects of the Ostrine. You didn't get any power. You didn't get any benefits. But you got a tainted substance. There's something in your system. You got weed in your system. That cigarette was tainted. You didn't smoke a marijuana joint, but you're dirty. So is it like that? Is it like, sure, you got dirty for the marijuana, but you got no effects out of it? What did that do to you? It nowhere impaired your vision, your drive. You didn't even know. It was so minute. You went out through your day like nothing. But you're dirty. So, I mean, we have to be realistic here. There is a percentage of drug or chemical that got in your system that there is a point where you will reach or get no benefit from it. Now, you can be ignorant and say no matter what, it's in your system, right? But that's just being ignorant. You're not actually working it out. Okay, you might have had that in your system, but at that level and that amount, you had absolutely no benefit. So, no. There has to be a way of explaining things. It has to come, you have to have a conclusion. You know, it would be a messed up situation if, I don't know, you're at a restaurant, freaking, I don't know, eating or something, and they put something in the food. And all of a sudden at work you test positive for it or something. And okay, there was some stories back in the day, like my mom was telling me about people that were eating poppy seeds and testing positive for marijuana at their jobs and stuff. And they had to like send out the labs, and it was like true. Like these poppy seeds on these buns gave them a false positive. And I've heard stories like this. I've heard stories where some things trigger another, and then, you know what really messes it up for us? The people that get caught that lie on top of being a cheater. The people that don't want to admit they got caught, and they blame it on eggs, tainted meat. I had sex with my boyfriend. He was on drugs. He climaxed inside of me, which caused me to be dirty. I drank a tea. I had a tea, and in that tea was PEs. That's why I'm dirty. So when you hear these excuses and some of these lies, some of these excuses were so far-fetched. Typically when a person gets caught, they're shamed into it. They just go silent, get their suspension, pay their fines. They put their head down, try to keep their nose clean. You know what I mean? And just go ahead. Usually when a guy gets caught, that's how they act. Or they'll come on, they'll start crying. I'm sorry. I felt it was only this fight right here. They'll address it. They'll keep their head down, and they'll do their suspension. That's it. But the guys that lie, that double down on it, and like, nah, I ate rotten eggs. I've been eating eggs my whole life. Eggs never made me like, no. No. There are certain things in life that sometimes all you need to do is just step back and look at the situation sometimes for all of us it's not as clear, but for whatever you can see, when you do see it, you're like, what the hell is that? Like some of these explanations for things in life, I'm not okay with. Shit, even when they first told me as a kid, I got kicked out of class for this. The teacher said we evolved from monkeys into humans, right? And I was a kid, but this was my response. I looked at him and I said, well, you see, because we were in science class, right? And we had already talked about evolution in class. Evolution, like they're trying to say like the alligators and those are like the longest reptiles like from the dinosaurs, and that they were bigger and they got smaller, and that the reptile is like one of the oldest. So I was like, so how does evolution work, to my teacher? And they taught us that once something evolutions to another thing, this other thing stops to exist, because a better version of it is in the now. Both versions of what they evolved into don't exist at the same time. You know, a saber-tooth tiger evolved into a Bengal tiger, and then a regular lion or whatever, etc., and they got smaller. But there's no more saber-tooth tigers. There's no more dinosaurs, and all we got is like these reptiles, the dragon and the alligator, right? So whatever you evolve in, you stop to exist. And I looked at the teacher and I said, how did we evolve from apes if apes are still here? And while they're still here, have you ever seen an ape give birth to a human? So why didn't they stop to exist when we started walking upright? I got kicked out of class for that. Yes, I did. I got kicked. Yo, another real bad moment in my life in a classroom. Yo, if I'm lying, I'm dying. Mom, you know it. Yo, they call my mother on this. My mom passed away, so that's why I do that, because when I talk about her, I swear to God, this happened, bro. Word for word, man. Yo, I was in class, 1986. I think this was. I was in Roosevelt Elementary School. And anybody out there, I swear to God, you guys were in class with me, you guys know this happened. They brought in the television into our classroom. And what we were watching that day was the rocket launch, the shuttle. It had that lady, the first astronaut, woman astronaut, and all the women, they were like in my class, there was like the teacher and the teacher's aide. All the teacher's aide in my school were all women. There happened to be like 6 of them in my classroom. They were like cheering the woman on and everything, and they were all in it. So something happened earlier that day. I don't remember why I was pissed off. I had something happen. Edwin was acting up. You know what I'm saying? I came in on the short bus with my helmet, rocking, licking the side of the window. You know how I walk in. I don't stay still. I'm shut up, pushing him. Poof, let me get that. Like, yo, Edwin, he's a problem. So I come in and I get into class and I'm sitting. I remember being pissed off. I just don't know what it was. And the rocket takes off. And fucking Edwin yells out, man, I hope that shit blows up. And that shit blew up. Yo, them women looked at me like the devil. Bro, that lady snatched me up by my shirt. She scratched the shit out of me. That's what saved me. The fact that she scratched me, that's what saved my ass. Because if she didn't scratch me, that was my ass. Because my mom was going to give it to me. But the marks that they put on me, it made my mom go on my side like that. So, yo, I was shocked as a kid. Yo, but I was like, and yo, that lady just said, yo, they looked at me like the devil. They were like, get the fuck, yo. That shit blew up. Yo, those women were in tears. Every teacher beat me up on my way out. And when they explained what I said, they all beat me up. She passed me to another teacher. They beat me up. They beat me up to the principal's office. The principal beat me up. They all beat me up. Oh man, that was a bad one for me. That shit was a bad one. Like, I've had some moments like that in class. Like, it just sometimes shit just, I don't know, man. Listen, uh. But I be there. I be like sitting there, just like figuring some of this boxing shit out, man. And with all the fucking fuckery and shit in boxing, when shit like this happens with Subriel and stuff, the one thing about Subriel Matias' situation, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, he's a Puerto Rican, right? I'm a Puerto Rican man. I'm proud to be Puerto Rican. Love who you are. Okay. First of all. Second of all, Subriel Matias was gonna be the first Puerto Rican boxer that ever tested for a banned substance. And in situations like that, you don't want to be the first. You don't want to be him. You don't want to be the first Puerto Rican that your name is attached to that. Who was the first American? Who was the first Russian? Who was the first Chinese? Who was the first Japanese? The first Mexican. All those countries have had someone to test for a banned substance. So when Subriel and Puerto Rico came up, I know it must have been a hot one. Oh, we finally got one. And Subriel is just a man that's trying to prove his innocence in a bad situation. And he comes out, he alerts the public, and he addresses them in his most sincere voice, like, yo, this is not who I am. Believe me, I have never cheated. Now, I don't believe every sad story. Just because Subriel Matias says that doesn't acquit him for me. Yes, we have to go through an investigation. Yes, thoroughly. Yes. Even when it comes to Subriel. Okay? Because what's right is right and what's fair is fair. And if you cheated, my man, then you're a cheater. But if you didn't, and this is a case of tainted substance and there was no foul play, then I'm with you. Because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. All right? We heard the stories and what they already try to tie it to. And the unfortunate event that took place in one of his matches with Mad Match Derevchek, Subriel Matias. And I would like at least my boxing fans, you guys that are up in here in my chat right now, you guys are fans. Please, I beg you, show some respect for Mad Match's family. And don't put that in the airways and try to put them that they had a son, they lost their son. And any possibility or anything like that can trigger something. There was an investigation launch. Subriel passed. Allow him and his family to mourn and continue and allow them not to hear this like that. This slander. We have no evidence of that. We have no proof of that. How dare we accuse a man of cheating and taking another man's son, another man's father, another man's brother? Let's just show a little bit of respect and stop throwing around these wild accusations when none of us have any proof of that. The only thing that we have is this situation, and that's it. That's it. Okay? Yes, there have been athletes that have been doping their whole entire career and then they admit it later and stuff. I've seen those stories. But until that happens, we have no proof of anything. And all I ask is just respect the other guys. That's it. Until the verdict is handed out on Subriel, I hope that the boxing gods prevail, and they allow this fight to continue for the world championship. And Subriel Matias, we're going to have to see what happens. Uh, but remember, guys, remember, just like there has been cases where guys have tested positive, and that's exactly what they were, positive and cheaters. Sanctions were handed down, suspensions were handed down. But just like there were cases like that, you have to remember there have also been situations where the guy was acquitted. Did Jaime Munguia just get acquitted, if I'm not too mistaken? Was not just like the most recent person besides Subriel that tested positive after the Bruno Saraz fight? Right? Did he not? What happened? Last thing I heard, acquittal. Right? Okay. There are other cases where let's just not forget that WADA, VADA, they're not agencies that ever tested for boxing. They're outside agencies that people can hire because they're a highly regarded doping agency that tested for other sports. I think they just broke their contract with the UFC, but they used to have contracts with the UFC. And Roland Romero was one of the fighters that fought in the UFC that tested positive. And he said, I'm a man of God. I ain't never used nothing. So they suspended him from the UFC. I think they gave him like a 2-year ban. Some shit like that. So he goes and he takes his case to court. Lo and behold, he said, I bought it from this GMC. They got the lot number. They took every bottle off the shelf in GMC. They tested it. Sure enough, it was positive. Now, the way they determined that you can't just go home and go, hey, let me put some Ostrine in this bottle, mix it around. Here you go. What's going to happen is when they test that, the level amounts are not going to match the ones on the shelf. I mean, you gotta have the levels of every chemical that's in that bottle, and every level for every individual chemical must match the same. There's no way on God's green earth anyone, not even a scientist, could go and make that bottle be like that bottle batch. You're going to be off somewhere. And it's going to be a fake. So when they went back to the store and they took them bottles off the shelf, yo, it matched perfect with his supplement. And it proved that that's where it came from. Not only did they go there, they went back to the warehouse. Yo, every crate that they opened was positive, and all the levels were on that lot number for that batch were the same. For only that lot number in that batch. That's it. All the other ones were different. But for that one, yo, my man took that shit to court. He won like something like 20-something million in a lawsuit against the manufacturer of that. And he was awarded all that money. You know what they did for his suspension? Nothing. They said, congratulations, you proved you're innocent. Here's 2 years suspension. It doesn't matter if you were innocent or it's whatever you had in your system. And you had in your system an outrageous amount. You've been drinking that supplement for a very long time. It might have been unbeknownst to you, but here's your 2-year ban. They don't give a fuck. The rules state if you got it in your, it doesn't matter. Don't matter. When you hear that Saul beat it, he didn't beat it. He just got his rest of his time reduced. Same thing with Conor Benn. They didn't beat it like beat it. They see Conor got a 2-year ban because his level was so high. He must have been eating 90 eggs. According to him, like, I don't know how do you do that, right? But his shit was so high that the maximum penalty is 2 years. That can end the boxer's career. 2-year ban, you're like 32 years old. You're done. How you going to bounce back from that? Shit, you get a year layoff and you look like Ryan Garcia against Rolly. Ring rust. You can't take that long off, right? So the 2 years is like the maximum. How much did Connor have in his system for them to give him the maximum? They gave Saul, I think, 18 months. They broke it down to a year, then they broke it down to like 6 months or some shit like that, I think it was. But he didn't actually beat it. He just got his time reduced. He's still guilty. So the only person that actually beat it, from what I seen, is Jaime Munguia. See, because Jaime Munguia was never given a suspension. See, once they hand you out a suspension and fines, you're already paying that. Now you're trying to work down. Yeah, you're guilty. But Jaime never even got a trial, right? Jaime Munguia never got a suspension. Anybody can put that down? Snack strong. Yo, Drago was the first Russian. Salute. What? This dude comments about black. Subriel is black. Who is he talking to? Huh? What the hell is that? Is he getting in a thing with a guy in the chat or something? Snack fighters get vitamins and minerals based on the blood levels. If that was, look, first of all, about Snack is a product that I would take if it worked the way that these fighters are saying it works. First of all, why do we take uh, a supplement? Why do we take a vitamin? For what? To help us either boost our energy, help us burn fat, at a level where it's not considered cheating. Now, if Snack can provide that with the threshold, right underneath the threshold, and you can perform well, then why wouldn't you take it? And there's a lot of other people on Snack, they just don't wear the shirt. But the reason why in your head you tie Snack with cheating, because of Victor Compton's, God rest his soul, um, is history. And in your head, once a cheater, always a cheater. Now, it's funny to the men and women that like to point the finger at another person and criticize and say, once a cheater, always a cheater. Once that, you don't get a second chance. Those are the same people that they too themselves have wanted a second chance in life. If you're perfect, you never cheated on a test, never cheated on your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you never did anything wrong in your life, you lived the Jesus Christ type of life, then you can point and judge fingers. But if you haven't, if you've ever done wrong and ever wanted a chance to rewrite that wrong, Victor might have made Snack. And he might have knew enough about drugs and chemicals to come up with this. If Snack was like that and it's out there for everyone to take, I think everyone's taking it. I think everyone in sports will do or take something unless they get desperate enough to cross the line. And where's the line, the sand drawn in the line? These professionals, they know. The doping people, they know. They know what's going to put the human body over the threshold of you overperforming on your natural God-given skills. They've been at this game for years. It's a real cat and mouse game. And when athletes start to do unusual stuff very late in their career kind of brings out red flags. Alarms start going off. Could it happen? Yes. Very rare? Yes. And in some cases, they were on something. So if Devin Haney is on snack and he fought Brian Norman Jr. and his performance went where? His power went where? He had no benefit to nothing. It didn't make him faster. It didn't make him stronger. As a matter of fact, if I'm going to credit his performance, I told you guys, it was lukewarm at best. I've seen better versions of Devin Haney than that. Yeah. And that power that he dropped, same power that dropped Regis Progress, looked the same. Same power he dropped all those other guys with. Same shit. He puts them down, but they don't stay down type shit. Except that kid there that he almost ripped his head off. But besides that, they get up. Brian Norman Jr. got up. Made it to the 12th round. Where's this snack power? Where? Where's this snack speed? He always looked like that. Where's this snack? What does snack do for Devin Haney that he hasn't already looked like? That was vintage Devin Haney. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary that I was like, oh shit, that snack shit is off the hook. I'm going to start taking snack because if he fights like that on snack, then it's apparent. Look at this shit. The fuck did he do? Nothing. And I mean absolutely nothing different from Devin. It's just that we haven't seen that Devin in quite some time. You didn't see it in the Ryan. You didn't see it in the Jose. He just had to remind you. But when you go watch Devin fight Brian Norman Jr., please do yourself a favor. Put on Devin versus Regis Progress. Put on Devin versus Yuri Gamboa right next to it. He looked better in those fights, and it was the same version. Same speed, same power, everything. Devin just got his confidence back. All that showed with Devin Haney showed up. That is it, brothers. Snack didn't do that. There's no evidence of an enhanced fighter. This superior version of Devin Haney. Where the fuck was that at? I don't see it. Man, listen. Don't let them feed you bullshit. Don't let them lie to you. Devin's pillow fisted. Really? What happened? What happened to the Regis? What happened to all these guys? He doesn't have knockout power. But he's not pillow fisted. And Brian Norman Jr., I think, might have believed that shit and went into the hype and got caught early. He couldn't recover. Same thing that happened to Devin Haney when he got caught early against Ryan. He thought he was going to walk through Ryan's power. Ryan caught it. He never really recovered. He was always fighting like a little out of it, but he was still in the fight. Devin, he was fighting the good fight, but Ryan was too strong. Now, Ryan, like I said, when you break shit down in an investigation, you got to do your due diligence, right? That's why I had Devin Haney in that fight, unanimous decision against Brian Norman Jr. Because I had said, remember, guys, Devin only had one fight actually to acclimate back from the trauma that he suffered with Ryan, with Jose Ramirez. I said what's going to reveal Devin is the Brian Norman Jr. fight. You got one fight. I won't hold you to it. That's it. Jose, now he showed up against Brian Norman Jr. Same process, same way I'm going to go with Ryan Garcia's situation, with the Austrian situation. Okay. He looked stronger in the Devin Haney fight, but he didn't, skill-wise, he was trash. His gas tank, trash, right? But whenever he wanted to fight Devin, he hit him, he was too powerful. So when he fought Rolly, I had to add the 1 year suspension and the ring rust, right? Because he got 1 year from a kid that was spiraling out of control that got upwards of $20 million. And now you got a full year to fuck around. I think Ryan did exactly that. So when he came back, he had one fight, the Rolly fight. He lost it. So you performed bad, just like Devin performed bad against Jose. But Devin won his fight, and you lost yours. We're in the same place. What's going to tell me about Ryan is his next fight. Ryan, if you're not strong, right? Because Ryan Garcia, I got to admit, that power has been there your entire career. That speed has been there your entire career. I'm not going to say that you were strong out of nowhere with Devin. That would be bullshit. Ryan Garcia knocked out almost everybody he fought against. He didn't knock out Tate, but Ryan's powers, that check hook, that shit's been nasty money to the body or to the up top. His speed, always there. It didn't show up in the Rolly fight. Why? I think that year fucked him up. Ring rust. So there's only one way we could definitively find this out. Okay, Ryan, I'm not going to hold you to that one fight. Your next fight, that's going to determine everything for me. Everything I need to know is going to be there. Why? Because you knew you had a fight scheduled. You came off that fight. You promised to not taste defeat again. So now you got to be serious. So whatever version you come up with, brother, that's going to determine a lot. But Ryan in the Rolly fight, I think that's what it was. You know, he just wasn't firing on all cylinders. That was a lot of money for a young man. And then they say, you're suspended. That's like being in school with a substitute teacher. You're going to do whatever the fuck you want. You're already suspended. All the drugs you put in your system, you don't got to go into train. You don't got to do nothing. But wine and dine beautiful women and drive fast cars and travel all around the world and buy expensive shit for the next year. You gave all that money to that kid? To Ryan Garcia. And you expected him to come back prime Ryan ready, strong. No ring rust, no nothing. Just Ryan came back focused as hell. Yeah, right. There's just no way. I want to find him guilty. I want to definitely say, you see, that Austrian is why he beat Devin. I want to say that so bad, but it would just be me saying it. I need a little bit more, because the amount due, what he looked like, how strong, you can't tell me that you were in a lower weight division, but moving up to a higher weight division, your muscle mass is smaller than the lower weight division where you were bigger. So your muscles were actually bigger, but you were lighter. So you were all muscles. So if you move up to a higher weight division, and although you get big because you're heavier, your muscle structure is smaller. And then if you perform less, boy, that's going to tell me everything I need to know. Your muscles got to bounce back or not be bigger while you're getting heavier. How the hell are you going to be lighter and your muscles be bigger? Because remember, when he fought Devin, he fought him at 140. Moving up where Devin is right now, where he is at 147, fighting Mario Barrio, you're at a higher weight. But like I repeat, if your muscle structure is smaller at 147, brother, that Austrian, you was rocking that shit. Because what does Austrian do? It makes your muscles bigger while releasing the water and the fat, and you're able to keep your muscles at a lighter weight. There's proof right there. You're gonna look like this, but lighter. When you get heavier, you can't reproduce those muscles, brother. And that's what I wanted to see. But when he came back from the year suspension, I don't think he was working out. So I couldn't make that determination because his muscles weren't up. But that just means he wasn't ready. He just got in shape. So going into his next one, you would be prime Ryan Garcia. I mean prime, right? Because now you're in the game. Let me see what Prime Garcia, remind the world what Prime Ryan Garcia looks like. Because trust me when I tell you, Ryan, the world is watching. Some of us want answers. We want to know. We want to know. How the fuck did you beat Devin? How? How did you do that, Ryan? Devin was so much skilled. How'd you do it? Was it Oxstream? Really? Oxstream made you even a better boxer? It just didn't give you muscles. It gave you a boxer's mentality, when to throw the punch. That shit did that shit for you? What beat Devin? I study fighting. And styles make fights. Some of these awkward styles, snappy fighters, speed fighters, can really be deceptive. And if you get caught early in a fight, it's up to you to turn it around. Ryan Garcia did catch Devin Haney early, but I've seen worse. Devin Haney got caught in the second round. No, the first round, big bite, but he wobbled him badly, real bad. Remember when Devin did that awkward? But he didn't drop him, right? And I think he dropped him like in the second or third somewhere. I gotta go back and watch it. But Devin never recovered when Andy Cruz, Andy the Destroyer Ruiz, Anthony, the guy that fought AJ, right? The Mexican. When he hit AJ, AJ never recovered. His legs never got underneath him, ever. You could see it. The difference between that and Devin's legs were in and out. They were iffy, but he was still standing strong, right? He had to figure out how to win the fight back. Naoya the Monster Inoue, he got his orbital bone fractured in the second round. And he found the way to fight, and not only fight, but win the fight. So it kind of depends on how you get hit, how badly you're hurt. You know, Devin could have came back from that. I think Devin was fighting much more than just him being hurt or outpowered. I think he was fighting a little bit of embarrassment. What the hell is going on in this night? He wanted the night to end. It was a nightmare. And he had to get it together while being attacked. That's what kind of sport boxing is. So, look, like I said, sometimes I just need to see some things before my verdict, before I make a verdict, and catch judgment on a fighter. Devin Haney's the fighter that a lot of people cast a lot of judgment on. And I don't think that a lot of his judgment came by his performances in the ring. They called him boring. They try to say he's not an entertaining fighter and so forth and so forth. And they use these tactics to try to avoid the young, slick style of Devin Haney. They're going to tell you he's boring. They're going to say these things just to avoid him. Because in reality, they don't want to fight him. They don't want to fight Devin. Devin's a problem. And he's going to outclass you and make it look so simple that you're going to think it's boring. No. because he's going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee all night. And you're soon going to find out. Yeah, he might not be able to shut my lights out, but boy, that boy can crack. You're not just going to walk in on Devin Haney's punches. He's got good footwork, a decent chin. It's holding up. It's holding up. All of a sudden, they said that they just knew Brian Norman, and then they're yelling the rematch. I don't think Brian Norman Jr. should rematch Devin Haney. Not now. Not now. Not the way that Devin not the way that Devin did it. Because just like what you're about to say, I could hear it now. Brian Norman Jr. underperformed. And it wasn't his night. But if the best version of Brian Norman Jr. shows up, that it would be a different fight. Okay. Same thing could be said for Devin Haney. Devin Haney beat that version of Brian Norman Jr. with the basics of Devin Haney. It was a basic performance from Devin Haney at best. At best. If the real Devin Haney shows up, like you said, the build of Brian, it's just going to be worse. It's just going to be worse. Brian Norman Jr. has to understand more things about boxing. That is it. He has to get to the next level. That's it. The only way you're going to do that is with experience. Get back in the ring, keep fighting guys and keep learning. And with that experience, I'll put your new experience up against Devin Haney in the future, and we'll see how the fight turns out that way. I have better expectations for Brian Norman Jr. that way than I do you putting him in right away back into the fire with Devin Haney. It's not going to work. Once you fight a guy a second time, you're going to know him even that much more better, and it's still fresh of what he looked like and felt like in front of you. It's still fresh. He's not going to win. He's not going to beat. You got to let some time, and Devin's got to kind of forget you in a sense, and he's had to have fight and train for different styles. You've had to get better. He's getting better too. But at the same time, now you understand things more about boxing that you're starting to catch up in a way. It will be enough to give a better fight. And you could have that moment in the fight where you stagger Devin Haney in the fight, or perhaps drop him and return the favor. And let's see how he responds in a situation against you. Shit happens in boxing right away. No. It would be too early for me. Yeah. And Rolly's already copping out of the fight. No, I wouldn't fight Devin Haney. He's a boring fighter. That's AKA talk for I'm ducking. That's what that is. That's duck talk. And I was talking to Ness about this, about Rolly not unifying the titles, right? And he's like, no, fuck that. They got to unify. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, in a way, he's right. But in a way, you got to see how the double standards do exist in boxing right before your eyes. And meanwhile, while me and him are going back and forth whether or not champions should unify, one of the biggest frauds for that very purpose is in our face, but he's considered one of the best fighters in the world, Tank Davis. What title did Tank Davis unify ever? And I mean ever. Meanwhile, he's been celebrated, broke gates, fucking been paraded as one of the greatest fighters of our era. But he ain't never unified shit. And now we're all over fucking Rolly. Rolly, you shook, you scared, da. And then people are saying, yeah, we've been saying that about Tank. You've been saying it about Tank. But Tank is here today in this situation, in this moment in time, and he got this far with it. He's 30 years old, people. He got this far in his career with that, never unifying, and somehow it went under the radar all this time. But now Rolly got to get pressured into fighting for that belt. Well, Tank Davis is now feeling the pressure and the heat. Now. Not 10 fights ago. Now. Rolly only got the belt one time and got elevated one time. And now he's already where Tank's at today. You can't give Rolly his 10 fights? His 10 duck'em fights from everyone? And then, hey, Rolly, what are you doing with that belt? Here we are, fucking 10 fights later. It's about time you... No. First, fight for Rolly. First, defend... Nope, you're a bitch. If you don't unify, you're holding up the division. Meanwhile, this guy can go years of bullshit fights. And no one says nothing until now. Until now. Is that considered the double standards in boxing? Just saying. And if you want me to read off anything, drop a super chat to get my attention, because I'm just flowing in the show. We're about to drop the link. I'm going to let you guys come up here. If we get enough, if we just get some guys, I'll let you chop it up. But if a lot of people start coming in, then I'm going to put a timer on it. We'll talk and so forth and so forth. But, yeah, man. Let me drop this link right here. I'll chop it up for a little while today. Man, my Thanksgiving holidays were fucking amazing, bro. I went everywhere. Yo, I was so drunk, so twisted when I got back home. I drank so much coquito. Listen, that coquito, you know when it hit me? It hit me when I walked outside into the cold weather. I was inside hot. Nothing was spinning. Everything was cool. Soon as I hit outside the door, and because my family, they rented out like a hall for all of us. Like inside where my brother lives, you can rent out like this big mansion house. It's in the houses where they own all their houses. And like in there, it has like an elevator, 2 floors. It's dope. It has a kitchen, everything, huge screen TVs. It's all fully furnished. You just bring the people and then you guys got to clean up after yourselves type shit. So we was in that all night. So we're watching football, having Thanksgiving. We're having a baby shower. Everything's kicking off. We're introducing a new part of our family. And I'm just downing these coquitos. They're just going backwards, bro. That's a Puerto Rican drink if you're not familiar with it. And I'm just down and I'm just like, and you could barely, like, everybody brought coquito. Like every Spanish family, they brought coquito. They brought some coquito. They brought their grandfather's version. They brought their grandmother's version. And they were all claiming to be the best. Well, there was only one way to find out. I had to try them all. I was like, hey, look, no, let me say, oh, no, that was good. Oh, well, your abuela made this? Oh, yeah, pretty good. But his abuelo made that one. Oh, yeah, ooh, that one's nice. Real nice. That one's got a kick. Let me get some more of that. Boom. Yo, it was like that all night. All right? And when I walked out, the air hit me. I was like, boom. Everything went. I was like, yeah. I said, there it is. There's a coquito. How you doing? Everything started going, you. Yo. And then the next day, Thanksgiving that day, I get on. Ness was on some bullshit on the show. I remember I hop off because people started coming to my house and I had way more better tasty things to do. I was downstairs tasting all kinds of treats and shit. This is good. This is good right here, right? So, and then like the next day, it's Thanksgiving Eve. And I didn't have any of the nurses' helps. They all had the day off for my grandfather, my daughter. So yesterday was a real busy day for me. I had to like take everything on myself, doing my house, cleaning up after everything too, plus taking care of everybody myself because I didn't have any aid from the nurses on that day. So it was just all around the clock. So I didn't hop on yesterday and shit. So then today I come on and shit. And I'm seeing like The Ben Whitaker fight out there gonna happen, and I'm going through boxing, and I keep seeing all these stories about like the Devin Haney situation, the Subriel, and I just wanted to really come out and like address it a slightly, guys. Like, come on, guys. Like sometimes we can't like go down conspiracy theory for all these things. Like you know what I'm saying? Sometimes things are what they are. You lost the fight to this guy, and that's kind of what happened. You lost the fight to him. That's it. Um, Sometimes, yeah, I've seen situations where I think that there's been some foul play. I thought that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul was real iffy. Yeah, to this day, I think that, right? But other situations in other fights, there have been situations where fighters have boosted up fighters' careers, but you got to understand something. At a certain level in boxing, at a certain level, you're playing for all the marbles, for everything. It's not worth selling out. Do you know how long it's going to take Brian Norman Jr. to probably get back into a world title fight? How many more years would that be added onto his life? He is young enough to take a hit like this. Yes, at 23. Yes, he is. But on average, how long do you think it's going to take him? At this level, it would have been better for you to win the fight. You win the fight, you remain the champion, your next payday is going to be in the millions. By giving up the belt for one payday, your next fight won't be in the millions. So now you're losing. You have no value, you have no belt. It's easy to say because it rolls out of your tongue, and your conspiracy theory mind can say, yup, that's what happened. You don't know what it's like to give up a world title. Do you know what it's like to win one? How many years did you train in the amateurs, in the pro? How long did you dream about it? For you to just say quickly, he gave it up. He took a dive. So none of these guys got pride. They're like robots. None of these guys say, man, Dad, we finally got up to the big dance, and this is what it really is like. We got to take a dive. No one has ever spoke up against that, said, yeah, this is no. The reason why we pay these athletes upwards to the millions is so that no mafia guy and you can't get to them. If I'm already paying Brian Norman Jr. $3 million to enter the match, what are you giving him to throw the match? And what are you making on that? You have all the betting people in the world coming to your website to put bets on you? Or are they going to Las Vegas and fucking DraftKings and MyBookie? There are millions of gambling sites, and none of them are connected. It's not like one guy is up there going, I'm going to make millions off of this. Or I got one asshole betting 100 million on a Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. undercard. Undercard? The reason why you can get to college athletes, they don't make any money. So you can shave points, you can cheat in college. For 10 grand, you could buy one kid. It's easy to rig games in college level. But in the pros, they're making millions of dollars for a reason. That way, pay the athlete. That way, the mafia doesn't have to pay him. And if he owes some money, we give him millions of dollars, he can pay his gambling debt. He's not going to take a dive or miss a punt or strike out because he owes money to somebody. He's a multi-million dollar, he can pay his debts. And that's why at this level, that's one of the reasons why they found it profitable just to pay these guys. Because you can't get to him. There's no idiot gambling. Oh shit, I'm $50 million into the mob. First of all, how do you even get up that high? In debt 50 million. How did the mob let you get to 50 million? They didn't stop at 10 or 5 or 20 and say, wait a minute, you got to cash in, right? There's no one betting like that in real life. You just don't bet millions of dollars like that. Those are lies. Those are those gambling movies like, oh, he's putting 10 million. That shit don't happen in real life. $10 million is $10 million. Don't be fooled. Ain't nobody just, I got $10 million on the Lakers. Fuck out of here, bro. No one does that. No. Maybe a mil, yeah. You know, those NBA guys and that like to throw money like around. Maybe a mil, yeah. I've heard of shit like that. $1 million on a golf course, 2 million, 3. Ed Hearn and Frank for the 5 fights, they were like 5 million into each other, 6 million. Shit like that. And these guys are sitting there betting $1 million on a fight. They're the 2 top promoters. You believe those stories that there's some fool out there paying $30 million on a touchdown? Come on, those are just stories. That's made up shit. You know, these guys are not, you're not going to be able to get to them. The only reason why I think Mike Tyson and Jake Paul situation, because the 20 million was to throw the fight. It wasn't just his purse. That was the agreement. I'll give you 20 to do this. I think that's what happened. I don't got no evidence on that, but so I can't just say it. So that's all hypothetical that I think that. But I think that the original money price tag was to throw it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, like, nah, man. Pride is a motherfucker, bro. Pride, bro. Being undefeated. You think you can just convince Brian Norman Jr. to being undefeated, first belt, bringing the belt back home. He's going to give all that up. All of it. The fact that he could have been the man. The fact that he could have been the first man to beat Devin Haney. He's giving that all up. The ridicule that he's getting after the fight for not being him. He signed up for all that. How much money you think it would have took for him to do that? And I'm just going to ask you this, honestly. Do you think it would have been more than the $3 million he was already getting for the fight? Because he was getting 3 for the fight. So how much money you think it would have took for Brian Norman Jr. to go back home with his head lowered down, no belt, no party? Now you got to start to rebuild all over. How much you think it would have cost? And to taste your first defeat, you are no longer undefeated. How much does that cost? It better be more than $3 million, I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much. Don't go around making false accusations. On who? Who's a false accusation on who? Yes, for $30 million, absolutely. Oh, about the Mike Tyson situation? Where was it I make a false accusation? Like I said, I have no proof of that. That was all hypothetical. I stated it, right? If that's what you're talking about, and if anything else, just let me know exactly what it is. What's his name? Michael Daniels? Boxing source says Tank needs to be stripped. Meanwhile, Roach's last title defense was on June 2024, the same month, Tank defended his title against Frank. But no one says Roach needs to be stripped. That's that bullshit. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, who's that? All right, look it. Check this out. That's a very good observation that Lamont Roach is about to fight Isaac Pitbull Cruz at 140 pounds for that interim belt. Meanwhile, that 130-pound strap has not been defended since he won it. Now, the WBA needs to strip him too. And then you're also not putting pressure on Lamont Roach for his responsibility lies at 130 pounds, and he should be unifying that belt against other champions at 130. Not jumping up to 140 pounds, 2 divisions north of the equator. What are you doing up there? You didn't belong at 135 in the first place. The whole person that dragged you into this was Tank Davis. And now it seems like Tank Davis is doing God knows what. And what, Lamont Roach? Now you're up here with us doing what? Go back down to where you're champion. Mind your business. Fighting Isaac Pitbull Cruz, probably for a bigger bag, but avoiding your responsibility and unify or defending the belt at the 130-pound weight division. That's the fuckery in boxing. If you allow it to happen at a certain level, wait until it happens against your guy. Because let's ask the 14 or 15 men in line for the WBA ranking at 130 pounds. Let's ask them if they're happy Lamont Roach is fighting Isaac Pitbull Cruz and that they're not getting a shot at a title because it's being held up by the champion, not because he can't perform, not because he doesn't have an injury, but because he's up fighting in divisions he doesn't belong. You see, these are situations in boxing, the double standards. Oh, it's okay that Lamont Roach does it, but it's not okay when this other guy does it. When George Gamboza jumps up all the way from 130 to fight Richard Hitchison at the number 1 slot. He was never a contender there. So it's okay when Ryan Garcia comes off suspension and you need someone to fight him in a new weight division. So you just don't bring Ryan up. You bring Ryan and Rolly. And then you give him the number 1 and 2. After Rolly's coming off of a loss and you're coming off of no contest. And a suspension. When you guys come back, you guys are awarded a title fight, a regular WBA title fight. That's what we're going to award you with. Manny Pacquiao, you haven't fought in 5 years? No problem. You can jump the line over everybody that's been paying their dues, doing it the right way. Everybody, stop. Here comes Manny Pacquiao to the front of the line. Is it right? Why is Lamont Roach fighting Isaac Pitbull Cruz? How does he even deserve a shot at that interim? What did he do? Who did he fight? And who did he beat? Because his last fight was a draw. So you can get draws, you can lose, you can come off suspension, and you can fight for. You haven't fought in 5 years, and all of you get title fights. But the men and women that do it the right way, keep fighting title eliminator, knocking the next guy in line, you do not get a title shot. We only award cheaters, people from other divisions, and who the fuck we want. That's boxing for you. We got to stop this. We got to speak up against it on all levels. And make these guys be responsible to their division. Lamont Roach, go back to 130 or relinquish the belt, bro. Tank, get stripped or what are you doing, Tank? Enough is enough, bro. I'm tired of your shit, bro. Fucking take that belt from him. Put him in the corner. Let him figure out his fucking life. Go over there and figure out why you're living or something. What's wrong with you, bro? Like, do something with yourself. I don't know. Ryan, get your punk ass back down here. Like, what's Ryan doing up there with? You don't deserve a shot against Mario Barrio, Ryan. What? Your last fight you lost. Oh, you get it down here. We got to start bringing all these guys down. Yo, Richard Hitchison, what are you doing with that IBF? Africa, what's going on? Come on, bro, Africa. You're a better champion than that, Africa. Africa, you're the shit. Yo, bro, man, I think Africa can fight. But I think he's kind of scared of these other dudes, man. I really do. He doesn't want to fight the top guys. And I'm just like, and then the 135-pound weight division is fucking a ghost town. That place is trash. Yo, everybody left Tank's ass there. Everybody left. Yo, Tank didn't fight nobody, bro. Fucking nobody. T.O. left, Shakur. Man, they're all leaving. They're all leaving. Shakur's about to fight T.O. Like, that fight just might happen. I'm not sure until I see that. Like, you guys know how I feel about that. Until I see them walking into the ring, I'm not going to believe it. I ain't going to believe it, man. Nah. Right? So, like, Abdullah Mason, he's doing his fucking thing right now. Let the young champion breathe. Allow Abdullah, he just got a belt. Allow him to develop as a champion. You got to understand that all these fighters also weren't at the same position while they achieved certain things in their career. I think that Abdullah Mason still needs to make his way and learn in boxing before he starts to venture out in unification fights. I think he needs more time, more experience, more fights. Let's see him defend the WBO title. Let's back off of Abdullah Mason, and please don't start judging him along the lines of the best fighters and the best champions we have. All of a sudden, Abdullah Mason got to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. Don't do it, guys. Come on, man. Allow our young champion to develop. Allow Abdullah Mason to become a better version of himself. Because I think Abdullah Mason is special. But he just got to work on some shit. He's not there. He's him. And I don't want to say that he's not there, because then somebody out there is going to take a hair across their ass and say that I said that Abdullah ain't shit. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Abdullah needs work. A lot of work. He does. He's a reactive fighter, boxer, but he's not a complete boxer. No. Abdullah looks good stylistically. He looks good in his form. He throws with power, but he doesn't know how to flow. No. He's like where you would train a boxer to throw punches on a heavy bag, and he goes out there and he throws what he doesn't quite necessarily have his complete style down, Abdullah's style. He hasn't developed into his complete fighter yet. No, not at all. Abdullah needs work. He needs work. But I believe if we allow him to freaking develop, okay, and to go into these fights, he will be a much stronger and a much efficient. He has the potential to turn into those Sugar Ray Leonards, the Marvis Hagler type S's kind of guys. He has the potential, Abdullah. He really does. I just don't want them to hurt him early. Yeah, he got in a good position. He got a world title, but is he ready for Tank Davis? Hell no. Hell no. Is he ready for Shakur Stevenson? No. I'd be even nervous to put him in against Keyshawn Davis. I think Abdullah can hang with Keyshawn. Yes. I said a little nervous. I didn't say I would be I wouldn't put him in. No, I'd put him in to fight Keyshawn Davis. Yeah. But I think Keyshawn's just that much more ahead of Abdullah. That's it. He's not far behind Keyshawn. I think he's just a little under him. Doesn't mean Keyshawn beats him. It doesn't mean Abdullah beats him. I at this point, I think they got the ability to beat each other. Yes, they do. They're both great guys. I want to see Keyshawn Davis back on his shit. Back in that fucking ring, bro. Come on, Keyshawn Davis, man. Look, man, I've been down in my life. I've done some stupid shit. And I thought that like there was some points in my life I thought that shit was over with. I was like, fuck, my life is over, right? And I've been really counted out in some situations and stuff. And I just want to tell you, Keyshawn Davis, you're not counted out. Keyshawn, you could come back from this. Bigger, better, stronger than ever, Keyshawn Davis. You know, just put that shit behind you. You know, whenever I look back at my past, I remind myself that it's just a story I tell. When I talk about my past, it's just I've already passed it. I've already endured it. I'm already either a survivor from it. I've already gone through the embarrassment. But learn how not to live in the moment, how to carry your baggage around with you. That can be harmful. You know, reliving the moment when your skin crawls, those kind of situations, you got to let that shit go. That's your past. Whenever people talk to me about my past or try to remind me of my past, those are the people I mainly get rid of. They're the people that still think or view me like that. They're reminding me constantly of what I did. That I need to get rid of those kind of people. Because I'm not the person I was 10 minutes ago. I got that much smarter in the last 10 minutes. Whether I learned a new phrase, a new word, or saw something new fly by or anything. You got to understand, you learn with every day. So no matter what happened to me back then, I've already in agreement. I'm done with that. I'm done with all that shit. It's just a story. That's all it is. That's it. I want to live in the now. So it's we got to develop stronger way of mindsets, right? It's like I tell you guys, right? That phrase, keep your friends close or your enemy even closer. I tell you about that all the time. Until the day I really found out what that meant, keep your friend close, but you keep your eye on your greatest enemy. Your greatest enemy is myself. I'm my greatest enemy. Keep my friends close because they'll block bullshit. From all the shit, I get myself in trouble. I can self-destruct myself. I can get myself in trouble. I go around these people. I go to these neighborhoods. I go to these places. I do these things. I am my greatest enemy. Watch your greatest enemy. You better keep an eye on yourself. There is no greater enemy in the world than me. I used to think that phrase said, keep an eye on your greatest enemy from a distance or from people that are throwing salt on you. No, that's going to happen regardless. Keep a check on yourself. Your greatest enemy is yourself. How do you respond to that person? Do you punch him in the face? Now you got yourself in trouble. You're your greatest enemy. If you kept your greatest enemy in check yourself, you would have never punched him in the face. And you wouldn't be going to jail. Now, would you? You got to know, it's just a mental, how do you view things? How do you break things apart? When you come to a conclusion of something, do you stop right there? There are certain things in life that are put in place to make you stop thinking. If you can't explain the pyramids, what would make you stop thinking on the way they're built? Aliens built them. Stop thinking. That's the end all. If you can't explain something, explain it with something you can explain. What? Me? Me? I'm a bit of a thinker and a bit of a conversationalist. I like to think things through a little bit. The moment I found out that life is built with options, I try to use them. Somebody said something to me. I quickly looked, turned my head, and I said, I'm going to get up and smack the shit out of that dude. This is one way of handling it. Yes. Another way would have to been say another rebuttal to his rebuttal. That's another way to handle it. Another way to handle it would have been getting up and taking myself out of the equation. That would be another way I can handle it. Another way would be to lash out. That would be another. But I see that I have options. Even in my greatest tests, in my biggest moments, I try to use that way of thinking in everything, just so that I don't react to the first thing I thought of. Usually, typically, that's what got me in trouble as a young man. Once I came to the first conclusion, oh, this is what it was. Now I got to do something. And that got me in trouble a lot. Once I started realizing that life was much more than just the first thing you think of, then more options start to come. With that way of mentality, you can develop a lot of different traits. One of them could be overthinking. You got to realize when you did enough, you did your investigation, now it's time to turn it off. That's it, right? All these other things that come up, just use it as through with life. Like, sometimes I get caught. I'll be at fucking Dunkin' Donuts and the lady will fuck up my coffee and she'll say, "Oh, you didn't say that." And motherfucker, I said, and I should have used better thought process before I snapped. This is just for a coffee. That's all it is. It's a fucking coffee. I'm about to disrespect you, myself, because when I'm out there in the world, I have a certain character or a certain persona. I would like at least to know that I have sense. I don't want to be a troublemaker. I don't want to be a tough guy. I'm just an old gangster trying to be square every day. The more square I get every day, I don't want to be a tough guy anymore. I don't want to be any of that shit. I threw a lot of time away from being something that I thought that life wanted me to be. I thought that by being this way that I was like proving something to someone. Meanwhile, I was wasting valuable years of my life. I wonder if I could have been that CEO in that corporate office or something. Who knows? I could still be that. Strive to be the best, right? You know, just like I told myself when I started doing this shit right here. A lot of people laughed and stuff. You talk boxing on a podcast. I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. And it was just another way of me reinventing myself to give back to boxing, just so that the sport of boxing doesn't die. ESPN didn't have a regular broadcast until guys like us started getting up and doing these things. They did not take notice. And finally, now they started trying to make like podcasts, and old fighters are trying to come in and cut us off because they're seeing that where the market and the value was, of talking for this sport. So, that all of that I've said is just uh, ways of thinking, ways of reinventing yourself, uh, and and a thought process. Learn how to have a thought process. Learn how to do these things because I think that a lot of those things, like like will keep us out of like a lot of bad situation and will help us navigate through a lot of this bullshit in boxing too as well. Like when Ed Hearn comes there and sits down and says that Devin Haney's a boring fighter. I didn't see a boring fight there. I saw a pretty interesting fight. At times it had its kind of moments where they, were like trying to figure each other out, but no less boring than I saw Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. I think that Conor Benn, your performance was good in your last fight, but Chris Eubank Jr.'s performance wasn't, and he didn't look good. So beating on weight drained fighters is what, exciting? That's what you consider exciting, Ed Hearn? For you to disrespect Devin Haney like that? Like Devin Haney didn't knock down a weight drained fighter, a fighter that came down 2 weight divisions, a fighter that you put a 10-pound rehydration claw in the first fight on. Devin Haney didn't drop that kind of fighter. Devin Haney dropped the best version of Brian Norman Jr. He was the best 140-pound fighter coming into that fight, and he also was a world champion. That's who Devin Haney dropped in comparison to who your guy dropped. And no shots to Conor Benn. He's in the middle of this because Conor Benn has been dressed up to say a few things about Devin Haney because of Ed Hearn. So shots fired, Conor Benn. But I like Conor Benn as a boxer. I think he's good for the sport. I think he sells in the UK pretty good. He hasn't been a world champion, but on the outside looking in, I wish him the best. I hope Conor Benn achieves his dream of becoming a world champion one day. I wish him the best. Just not on my guys. Beat somebody else, you're good. Just not my guys. You ain't beating Devin Haney. No, you're not, Conor. Put Conor Benn in the ring with Devin Haney if you want to. If you want to. You think Conor Benn can beat Devin Haney? Yeah, right. It'll be like fighting another Regis Progress. That's all it'll be. Conor would turn into Regis Progress. That's it. Devin's going to wipe him down. All right. All right. Yeah, there's a reason why Conor Benn hasn't had a world title on no level. You know how like some of these European fighters, they get like the European world title, the Intercontinental European world title. They got like all these small European world title belts. There's a whole bunch of them. Why Conor Benn never won none of them? None of them. And you really think you're going to talk him up at a world championship level because he beat who? Who is up there that sold you on the fact that, okay, he can go from winning no belt on no level to be right next to the champions? And you're sold. Wow, did they dress that up for you? You might have lost your way. You might be a prisoner in the moment from watching Conor Benn slug it out with Chris Eubank, and the excitement and the storyline between their dads might have got you talking or feeling a certain way. But in the real world, in real boxing, he's never done anything. Where's his Lomachenko? Where's his Yuri Gamboa? Shit, where's his Ryan Garcia? Well, we can't pick Chris Eubank as Ryan Garcia because he's depleted. He ain't strong. Hell no. He wouldn't fit there, right? What fighter did Devin Haney ever fight that he made the guy be weight drained? Devin Haney was the bigger fighter all the time, allegedly. Which I don't know where these stories come from, a lot of these stories, because it's like a lot of promoters are the ones that beef up these stories. Oh, Devin's been fighting small guys his whole career. And he's always been the biggest bully. Blah, 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 blah. just vomit, bro. Right? Okay. There've been certain situations, certain fights that he was heavy, Devin, and he did weigh in over like the threshold. Yes, yes. And that Regis Progress fight, Devin was big as shit, like big, right? Okay. But my problem is, did he make the weight? Did he make the weight? Was Devin Haney a professional? Okay. So in actuality, by cutting that much weight and getting that much fluids out of your body, it's actually hurting you to gain all that weight the next day. You're actually going to be a bit sluggish. You added too much weight. So, where was it that Devin was fighting a small man in Vasily Lomachenko when you go, oh, Devin was fighting smaller guys? How's that possible? Where was it that Vasily was the bigger man in what fight? Which one of his fights was he the bigger man? Vasily. I'll wait. When wasn't Vasily the smaller guy? So when he fights Devin, all of a sudden he's extra small. But when he fights Linares, he fights everybody else that's naturally bigger than Loma. That Loma never belonged there in the first place. I believe he belonged at 130 or 126, to tell you the truth, right? Loma was smaller than everyone. But when he fights Devin, he's a midget. I just be scratching my head sometime. I'll be like, how the fuck they just be making all this shit up against Devin and it be sticking? Like nobody can see this shit. Like, no, everybody Loma fights is small. Tank probably would have been the first guy his height. He fought that Japanese dude, mad tall. Like, what? When was Loma fucking, like, Jesus? And then, like, all these stories, everyone that said Devin was pillow fisted never fought him. Tank said he was pillow fisted. Keyshawn Davis said he was pillow fisted. Tio said he was pillow fisted. Shakur said he was pillow fisted. But wait a minute, you guys never fought him. How would you know that? Like, that's what I talk about. Sometimes just having, it's okay to think these things, but you have options. You have the right to question what you just heard. You have the right to sit there and then sometimes just don't go over the surface. When they feed you all these stories, we've heard it so many times against different fighters, a lot of different times. I heard it with that Japanese dude, Naoya Inoue. I heard it with Devin Haney. I heard it with Rolly. I heard a lot of like these storylines that they make about these fighters, and they're not always necessarily true. And the truth sometimes can be dead smack in front of your face. Dead smack in front of your face. You know, when Floyd did that to Manny Pacquiao and he put him under the needle and he said, drug testing for our fight. I'm cleaning up the sport. All of a sudden, the speed goes down, the power doesn't show up, but people don't say anything about it. They didn't talk about it. They just said, oh, he had an off night. The next time he fights with no steroid tasting in place, he's lightning fast and the power shows up. Coincidence? Like, what? But it just so happens on the day we knew you were under a microscope, you look your worst. Coincidence? Bad night? But Ryan Garcia is cheating. And you've seen enough. sometimes we have to question things. You just got to. And when sometimes I hear some of this shit, I go back. They say Ryan was on the eye string, that left check hook, blah blah blah. That's been the storyline of Ryan's entire career. This next fight that he's fighting, it's gonna say a lot. It's gonna determine a lot, brother. Did you have a steroid career in front of us? We gotta know. Inquiring minds want to know. You know what I'm saying? Please, please, let's get these thumbs up. Hit that thumb up button, man. Let's get this shit up, please. Look, interesting things enough in the world of boxing that transpire, and we're gonna see, but there are some things that I'm willing to think through. I don't think Brian Norman Jr. sold out. I don't think that the fix was in at all. I think the guy just lost the fight. That's it. I think he'll be back better than ever. I think we shouldn't take away from Devin Haney's victory. Devin Haney, you became a 3 division world champion. Congratulations, young man. And I'm anxious to see what you'll do next. I don't believe that Rolly is going to step up to fight him. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There's a part of me that thinks that he's going to avoid Devin Haney. There's a part of me that thinks that he's crazy enough to fight him. Uh, you know, there's a guy up there like fucking everything up right now, Manny Pacquiao. His name alone, trying to get that fight with him and probably potentially fighting out there in the Philippines, the money you're gonna generate. His name alone is messing with shit up there. No, I didn't want to see him fight Mario Barrio again. No. And no, I don't want to see Manny Pacquiao fight any of the other world champions. And no, I don't want to see Manny Pacquiao fight Devin Haney. No. For one, I don't want Devin Haney to be the one to do the job, to knock Manny Pacquiao out. I didn't want him to be it. This is a brutal sport. And if Devin Haney has to put down that old dog, well, then that's what Devin Haney's going to have to do. I'm not saying that I would be mad at it. I didn't want it to be Devin Haney, to be the one that did it. I was cool with Mario Barrio doing it. I was like, come on, Mario Barrio, get rid of Manny Pacquiao, pack his old ass up, get him out of here, right? He shouldn't be fighting for a world title at almost 50 years old anyway, right? So he's just fucking with boxing and cutting the line and shit and getting world title fights then guys that have been standing around that deserve a world title fight, that have been working hard, that are in their prime, and with every year and every fight that goes by, they didn't get their shot. But if Devin gets the Manny Pacquiao fight, I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, he would have actually Manny Pacquiao's name on his resume. That's a big name. It's a big fucking name right there, bro. That's a big scalp. But he's not actively in his prime or anywhere near it where that Devin would get the full credit for beating that Manny Pacquiao. If Devin was to enter the ring with the Manny Pacquiao and knock him out and beat him, he's never going to get credit for beating that Manny Pacquiao. So I feel like it's a lose-lose, because if you're not going to give him the credit for knocking him out, then why fight him? I'm fighting you because you're Manny Pacquiao. Ain't that the reason why we're fighting? Because of your name. So if I beat you, then I beat Manny Pacquiao. Don't try to water him down now that I beat him. That's how boxing works. That's how boxing works. That leading into the fight, Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao. But after he knocks him out, he was an old man. Leading into the fight with Brian Norman Jr., Brian Norman Jr. was the assassin, the world champion, the best 147-pound champion in the world. After Devin beats him, he was in him. He sold out. That wasn't Brian Norman Jr. in the ring. See? That's how boxing works. And that's unfortunate. Because if I beat Manny Pacquiao, fuck that. I want credit for beating Manny Pacquiao. He should have never got in the ring. He should have protected his legacy. How can you fight me? And the only way he gets credit if he wins? So if he beats me, oh, Manny Pacquiao won against a younger guy, a more stronger fighter, a current champion. Manny Pacquiao beat that guy. But if that guy beats him, you beat an old man, a guy that hasn't fought in 5 years, an old vet. You didn't beat the best version of him. You get all scrutiny. So why enter the ring with him? Why even take that fight? For the money? Devin, there's other fights out there for you. You make enough money. I don't like that fight for Devin. The Manny one, I don't like it at all. What if Manny fucking knocks down or puts down fucking then now y'all done got him into that shit? It's just a lose situation for me, man. That Devin shit, it's just I don't feel like any way he fights Manny Pacquiao, he wins in public perception. I don't see how he wins. He'll never get credit for beating Manny Pacquiao. Mark my words. Mark my words. He won't get it. And if you guys want me to really read your chats, put a super chat to get my attention. If you're wondering why I'm talking, going by, and not reading your chats, if you want me to read a chat, put some color in the chat, and I'll read your chat. I give Devin that props right there because he doesn't duck smoke and he does fight everybody. I have never really been in a situation where I can honestly look back and say Devin didn't want that fight. There was a situation where I thought him and Teal were going to fight a couple times. Or I thought that him and Ryan could fight earlier. I thought him and Tank could have fought. But when it always came out to be, it was always the other guy that was dragging their feet behind the scenes. Shouts out to Devin Haney for at a young age of 19. He called out Vasily. He was Vasily Lomachenko's WBC mandatory. The WBC decided to up and franchise Loma's belt, and he vacated the original title, and Devin Haney picked it up because he was the mandatory. See what I'm saying? So, and he did that at 19 years old. He punked 2-time gold medalist Vasily. What did Vasily and his team saw in young Devin Haney that they were so fearful that they rather fight Teofimo Lopez in a unification? But you wouldn't defend your belt, your mandatory, against young 19-year-old Devin? Devin had to be a real threat. Or they must have viewed him as like the next Floyd. Like what would have caused you to do that? So I respect Devin for that and for giving us some of the biggest fights. See, Tank Davis, Tio, they can't say shit like this. Shakur, they can't say shit like this. Devin fought Devin fought Ryan. Devin fought Loma. Devin fought Regis Progress. Devin fought champions. Linares. Devin fought Yuri Gamboa. Devin fought guys. Tio didn't fight Tank. Tio didn't fight Shakur. Tio didn't fight Devin. Tio didn't fight Ryan. Tank didn't fight Devin. Tank didn't fight Tio. Tank didn't fight Shakur. Tank didn't fight no one. But you can't say this about Devin. Shit, but you can't even say that about Ryan. Fucking Ryan got a few names under. He's got Tank and Devin Ryan. So, and he's got a gold medalist in Luke Campbell, right? Come to think about it, yes, he does on his resume. Fortuna. That was a world champion, right? So Ryan got a better resume than Tank. Get the fuck out of here. Wow. See, because when Ryan is on Tank's resume, it doesn't work that good. Because Ryan's not a former world champion or current world champion or no champion. So when you look at it from Tank's perspective, it's not good. But when you look at it on Ryan's record, it's good. Tank, you were considered the top guy. You were a world champion when he fought you. You're a good name on his resume. But since Ryan hasn't really established himself in the world of boxing, it's not really a good name on Tank's resume. What the fuck has Ryan done? But popularity and ticket sales. That doesn't define you as a world-class boxer. No. It just makes you a world-class event. You're a draw. You're a show. They come to see you. Okay. But you're not a world-class boxer that has achieved a lot of stuff. No. So it doesn't work that way. You understand? So what? Devin is trying to fight Tank's leftovers. Shit, Devin's trying to fight Tank. Why would he fight his leftovers? If the only person they have in common is Ryan Garcia, right? That's the only fighter Tank. Yeah, he's never fought Tank's leftovers. Ryan Garcia is a loose cannon. He'll fight whoever he wants. Right? So Ryan called Tank out and Ryan called Devin out. Ryan Garcia never deserved the right to fight Tank Davis. Tank had to say yes to his call out. Ryan Garcia never deserved the right to fight Devin Haney. Devin Haney accepted his call out. Ryan was never in position to fight any of these guys. He just talked his way into it. And they said yes. Just remember what occurred. That's, I'm just bringing it up. You feel me? So, what's this say? Sandor Martin was Devin Haney's mandatory at 140. Why didn't he defend his title against his mandatory? First of all, he was his mandatory to what? His belt in recess? The championship belt in recess? You talking about that belt? Then when he had to fight Sandor Martin, you just said Devin fought Gamboa, but that was after Tank fought him. But Tank fought no one? All right. Tank and him fought. The first person to beat Yuri Gamboa, of course, was Terrence Crawford that ruined him, right? Okay. The difference between Devin's situation and Tank's situation, Tank Davis brought him up the division. See? And when he fought Tank Davis, he had already taken that massive ass whooping and got beaten already. He was already a beaten fighter, right? Okay. So, and then Devin fights him. And the only thing I brought up with Devin, right, was his fighting style against Yuri Gamboa. Meaning, when people were saying he hit Brian Norman Jr. with a left check hook and speed and snack, and I was like, what? What are you guys talking about, snack? And that Devin was a what? A better fighter? And I said, no, he wasn't. Go look at Yuri Gamboa fight against Devin Haney. That was the same Devin Haney in the ring with Brian Norman Jr. In fact, the one in the ring with Brian Norman Jr. was less active than the one that fought Yuri Gamboa. But that same check hook, that side step that he used, that he snapped like that, same delivery, same first step, same speed, everything. So I was trying to describe fights where he looked exactly like that. Because when he fought Loma, he was more like this with Loma. He didn't have that hand down waving style where it was the lunging snap. He didn't fight him like that. He fought Loma different. When he fought George Kamboza, he fought him different. He fought him the same way the 2 times, but he fought him different. He used the bounce of his toes. He snapped in. He allowed the jab to control that fight. And the basic 1-2 down the pipe was enough to control George Kamboa. So when I bring up fights with Yuri, because the familiarity of what he looked like with Brian Norman Jr. But it didn't mean that Yuri Gamboa is the best thing since sliced bread when his last losses didn't age well. When you're getting knocked out by Esau Pitbull Cruz, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, Terrence Crawford, everybody's beating you like that. Like they're beating you like that. So Tank Davis's win over him starts to diminish. That's just like Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is a 3-division world champion. But where did Leo Santa Cruz started his career? He was like 108 or something. So, and then you brought him all the way up to what, 130 to fight Tank? That's like bringing up the Japanese dude to fight Tank. You're just bringing up little guys from lower weight divisions. So when that shit happened like that with Yuri and Tank, and the way he beat him and the situation that he was already found himself in going into the Tank fight, and then Devin fought him, and then Devin pieced his ass up, right? He was a broken fighter. He was done. He was done by time Devin got, he was done. But Devin's fighting style, the way he fought him, go check it out. Because Devin fights to the quality of his fighters, but he does do the same thing when he wants to. Like, I think that the closest fights were those fights right there. All those fights I mentioned, the Regis Progress fight, the Yuri fight, and the Brian Norman Jr. fight. And there was a couple other guys' fights that I was checking them out. But Devin fights different styles. He'll fight different ways. He didn't look like that with Loma. No, he wouldn't have done that against Loma because Loma will spin you. Loma had quick feet, real big burst movements, and he could cut angles. So you had to keep Loma in front of you. You had to keep him in front of him. It was just a different style of fighting from Devin, completely. Tank is more impressive than Haney. To the untrained eye, yes. Yes, he is. To the untrained eye, Devin Tank is way more explosive than Devin. But when you know what you're watching and you've been around boxing for a long time, you know what they're doing with Tank. They're pitting Tank in with mediocre competition so that he can look like that and not give big knockouts. So I see that. When you knock out Frank the Ghost Martin, he looks the part. When you look at Frank the Ghost Martin with his shirt off, that motherfucker looks like a specimen. He looked jacked like a motherfucker, right? He looked like he's about to do a pose down. He got a way better body than Tank, right? So he looks the part. You go out there, you knock him out. Oh shit, Tank Davis knockout. Look at he fucked Ghost Martin up. Look at Ghost. Look what he look. He look like, "Argh." But different skill level. They dressed it up for you. Tank Davis is knocking all these guys out. Sure, you can do that. If Devin Haney was to fight below his level, he'd probably knock a lot of guys out. His knockout level would increase, I bet you. Yeah, because he's fighting guys below his competition. But Devin started fighting fucking world champions, going for belts. He started fighting real fighters. So although Tank looks more explosive to the untrained eye, on the outside looking in, naturally you would think Tank's the better fighter. He must be. He's knocking everybody out. But when you understand what they're doing and you realize, yeah, but Tank ain't fighting nobody. And I mean nobody. Like I said this before. Listen, you got to understand, Tank was one of my favorite fighters. Waking up from what he's doing was hard for me. This was hard. I would argue Tank Davis until my face was blue. You couldn't tell me he wasn't the man until I woke up. And I allow myself to see Tank Davis for who he really is. He's just a prize fighter that doesn't fight any of the top guys. He's going to stay at those guys where they could try to sell you a storyline and sell Frank the Ghost Martin to you. Oh shit, leading into the fight, Frank the Ghost Martin actually had a chance by some people. No, he never had a chance. You'd have put him in that ring with Tank Davis 100 out of 100 times, 100 times he gets knocked out by Tank Davis. There's no version Frank the Ghost Martin on that night would have ever beat Tank Davis. Never. He wasn't ready for him. There's levels to this. So that's what I mean by the casual fan will always think Tank's better. But reality, Devin Haney's way better than Tank. Devin's way better than Tank. In everything. Belts, divisions, wins, the people he fought. He's way better than Tank. But perception and public, what you see, oh shit, a knockout, is going to trick you into thinking that Tank's the better fighter. Let's see what Tank does. Let's see if he does that against the top guys. Let me see him knock out Teal. Let me see him knock out Shakur. Let me see him knock out Loma. Let me see him knock out Devin. Let me see that. But what I see is him knocking out Rolly, Ryan, Frank the Ghost Martin. What? Pedraza. Who? What? You beat Ryan Garcia, Tank. Rolly beat Ryan. And you knocked out Rolly. Esau Pitbull Cruz knocked out Rolly, and you went the distance with him, Tank. You went 12 rounds with Esau Pitbull Cruz. That Esau Pitbull Cruz knocked out Rolly. That your biggest payday was Ryan Garcia that Rolly knocked out. Well, dropped. They knock out. Right? Rolly got knocked out by Isa Pitbull Cruz. They stopped that fight. That was a stoppage. Ryan went the distance but got dropped, got scared. And then Tank, you couldn't stop Isa Pitbull Cruz, but somehow you're better than Devin. Somehow you're way better than Devin. They're not dressing you up. They haven't put a nice dress on you, little bit of makeup. They got them nice, painted, dressed up, real, bien linda, Tank Davis. They really sold you to us. I thought you were him, bro. I thought Tank Davis was him by far, bro. I thought Tank, there was nothing no one could tell me about that man when he first jumped up on the scene. I saw him with Floyd. I saw how explosive he was. I saw how he blimped up with Mario Barrio and he controlled the shit out of that man. I was like, oh, this guy's a phenom. And he didn't go nowhere. It just went. He went nowhere. He unified with no one. He showed no intentions on unifying with no one. It was okay saying he was the best. He just didn't have to do the best shit. But Devin had to jump through fire. Terrence Crawford, he's got to jump through hoops of fire. He got to jump up 2 weight divisions and fight Saul to finally be called the man. Because apparently everything else he did wasn't good enough. But this Tank guy, boy, I tell you, he doesn't have to do a goddamn thing. He don't got to do nothing. He don't got to fight world champions. He doesn't have to unify. He don't got to fight the top of the food chain. Nothing. He gets a pass for everything. Because his name is Tank? What? We got to be fools as fans? Like, see, I'm okay with it. Had I been rocking with Tank and I knew the truth the whole time and I didn't feel embarrassed, I would say, fuck it. As a matter of fact, I'm not here to change your mind on Tank. I'm here to test your loyalty. That even if you could hear me, how are you still a fan of Tank? You better fucking be. If you went this far with him, you rock with your guy, bro. Till the wheels fall off. Be a real fan. Be a real loyal fan. You know, but because I'm not trying to take away from Tank. I don't want to hurt him in any way. I still like him. He's good for the sport. I want to watch him again. And if I could come to an agreement with Tank and say to myself, fuck it. You know what? He's not him. But I still like Tank Davis. And he's not going to fight for the unifications, but I still want to watch him. And it's my right to be his fan. And maybe, all right, he's not up there with Devin Haney as far as accomplishments and Shakur Stevenson. And he's not going to be that kind of fighter for me. But I like him for who he is. His charisma, his explosiveness, the way he fights. And I'll just continue to watch him. But the only thing he can't get from me is the name and the title, the best. That's all. That's all. And you're not going to go down better as a better fighter than Teofimo Lopez. You're just not. At the end of the day, Teo's probably going to end up doing more, and that's going to be sad. Because I would have thought Tank would have did more. You know? he could have been such a great. He could have had titles at 126, at 130. He never went to 126, but he could have started there. He started right at 130, and he put himself right in the fire right away. And then 130, 140, he could have had belts and been there and just stood there right around there, Tank. You could have been just so much different and whatever it is, man. But so I'll continue to support him. I'm gonna watch him. He's just not gonna be among the greats category. You're not gonna enter that room, unfortunately. That's all. That's all. But I like Tank. I like Tank. I like him, man. I can relate to Tank because I see myself in him. I like that's where I came from. Same scenario, bro. Same fucking rat hole. Same shit, bro. So I can relate to Tank, but that's why I like him a lot, I think. Because I think we're cut from the same cloth. Like Tank's experience is same shit, bro. Same shit, man. But I can no longer go along with the narrative that he's better than Devin. I think he's a more flashy fighter, better explosive because of his competition. Yeah, I see how they dressing him up, but as far as better as a boxer, you don't enter a sport to say I want to win last place and then say that you're the best. You compete as a professional in a sport to achieve the biggest awards, to get to the top of the sport. You can't be in the middle claiming to be the best while everybody else is at the top. Devin's a 3-division legit world champion. 3-division. And he's been undisputed in one. There's no way Tank's got a better resume than fucking Devin. All in all, and more explosive, better visual. No, Tank's way better that way. I would rather watch a Tank Davis fight than a Devin Haney fight. In a way, yeah, because Tank's gonna bring that power. You about to see something. But I can't help but wonder if all of that would change if he fought the top guys. When he fought somebody remotely on the top, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, Tank went 12 rounds with him. He didn't knock him out. And then Isaac Pitbull Cruz proved that he was on that level. And then Rayo shut that shit down. And then Esau went back out there with Rolly and brought it back up. Type shit. And then Esau went out there and won that interim belt. So I don't know. Even the Whitaker fight sold more tickets than Devin Haney and Norman fight. Laughing out loud, glazing is real. Okay. All right. You see when people like this make comments right here, right? Okay. Obviously, and I want to leave this on the screen, right? Because this guy right here is a guy that speaks because he wants to be tried to be funny. It's the kind of guy that comes in a room that wants to be funny, but that's never funny. Says the kind of things that he believes that make sense in his head, but if he would have just took 10 seconds to rethink it, he probably would never say this right here. Why? How could you say that the Whitaker fight made more money than Devin Haney and Brian Naaman Jr. if Whitaker is headlining? That's who they're coming out to see. Devin Haney was never the main event. So how could you mean that it made more money than David the Monster Benavidez and Anthony Yard fight? Because that's who they were fighting on the undercard. So your whole statement about a main event making more money than a guy made on a co-main event, where's the funniness in that? It's not even a good comparison. And the glazing for Devin Haney would be you're putting a main event against a co-main event, but I'm glazing. Yo, I can't make this shit up. I can't make it up. If they just take 10 seconds to think, it's like people want to act like just because you can text it, ha ha ha, ba ba ba. Just at least think it through if you want to be a funny guy. That's all. That's it. 10 seconds. You would have figured that out. Wow. This guy is lying in the chat saying Ryan knocked out Devin. It was a majority decision win. Devin Haney ain't even the main event, but you glazing? Devin Haney ain't the main event, but I'm glazing. What the fuck does Devin Haney got to do? I'm talking about that. This guy is crazy. You must think I'm a Devin Haney fan, huh? He doesn't understand. If you don't come to this show a lot, welcome. Welcome. You're going to notice and you're going to find out that I even talk up guys that I don't like. Like I'll give advice to Conor Benn. He's not my guy per se on this side, but I love all boxers. And when they said Conor Benn, get in the ring with Devin, I said, you better not do that, Conor Benn. If you guys love Conor Benn and you want to protect him and give him the right opportunity against Devin, allow Conor Benn to get a tune-up fight or one or two to get acclimated back to 147 because he was up there too fast. Make sure that his punch resistance and his punching power shows up back at the lower weight division. So you want to get him in because don't put him right away against Devin. You're going to get your guy hurt. So even for Conor Benn, or even Japanese fighters, or even Filipino fighters, Mexican fighters, Dominican fighters, you must not know me. I am not a fan of Devin. I don't even got him on my pound for pound list. You must be new here. Everybody here knows that I hold Devin at a higher standard, a high regard, and he's not as good as he's not on my pound for pound list because he's not good enough yet. Glazing. This guy's crazy. No, I'm just calling it like it is. Devin won this fight. He might lose his next. I don't know. I'm just explaining. There's no conspiracy theory here. Brian Norman Jr. just lost. That's it. And there was no, and I'm sitting here saying, he's saying I'm glazing when the whole time I've been here saying, the fuck are you guys talking about? This superior Devin showed up. A lukewarm Devin Haney beat Brian Norman Jr. That's not even the best version of Devin. Where's this guy been at? Are you just hopping on the show? Have you not been listening? I said it. Nothing Devin Haney did against Brian Norman Jr. was superior. We've seen the better versions of him. Where the hell is this guy? He's glazing Devin Haney. He just wants to hear himself say the word glazing, and he sits back and goes, glazing. He must just like to hear the word. Let me put it in a sentence, because apparently he doesn't care about what he talks about, because he's been wrong the whole time. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do. I don't know if you just hear what you want to hear, or you might catch me in a moment. I was talking great for Devin, and I don't know if you thought. I don't know what you thought. I'm not a fan of none of these dudes. I stay like that so that when I need to talk about them, it's not personal to me. Since I'm not a fan of one boxer or anybody, when I need to talk about them, it allows me to see them in a light because I still keep them in the front. Yeah, you did some good shits in your last fight, so you got me talking about you highly because you did a good performance. No sooner you slip up, I'm not your fan. I'm not on your side. I don't get David Haney checks. I don't get checks from anyone. So if you got a bad performance or you slip up, it's going to allow me to see you. But when you do good, I talk good for you. Isn't that the way it should be? I'm going to point out good. This, you have your moment, Devin. Have it. This is your time. Have it. I really hope you get better from here and turn out to the fighter that I really think you can be. Then you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm waiting for Devin to turn into that guy. Yeah. He's almost like he had a little hiccup, you know, but we'll see. But all it is this is his moment, his time. And he's a world champion. And what do we not do here at Round One Sports Talk? Shit on the champions. If you got a belt, we're gonna talk you up. Why? We got to keep those belts prestigious. Prestigious to the men and women that held them. It's not easy to win a world title. Just one, let alone 4. It's not easy to do that. It's not easy to get the Ringside Magazine belt. That shit ain't easy, man. There's fighters that have been fighting for 10 years and never got a shot at a world title. Never. When they call your number, you better be ready. And you better not let go of that belt, because if you lose a belt, you may never get another world title fight. It's not promised that you... If Marvelous Hagler, bro, they never wanted to fight guys like that. Like Subriel Matias, guys like that. When you lose that belt, yo, the fact that Alberto Puello called Subriel out and gave him that, I thought Subriel would have never, for his age, it would have been easy to age him out. 2 more years under Subriel, ducking him or giving him, he would have been too old by then. He would have aged him out. Alberto Puello gave Subriel Matias a crack back at the champion he is today. There was no guarantee he would have ever got that belt back. Look at what happened to David the Monster Benavidez. When he lost his belt to recreational drugs use and on the scale, he never got that belt back from Saul. He never got back to a title shot. Shit, to this day, he hasn't fought a world champion. They stripped the belt, interim belt, but he ain't fought no world champion. Had it not been for him, somebody else getting stripped, to this day, David the Monster Benavidez still hasn't got a shot at a world title bout. And look how popular he is. You are not guaranteed a shot at a belt. That's why I say, you really think Brian Norman Jr. sold that belt like that? The odds of him getting another shot? Not when the world knows how dangerous you are. Nobody's going to want to fight him. Virgil Ortiz is this good. He has... When did he fight for a world title? When did Virgil Ortiz fight for a world title? Is he any good? How good is he? Tell me. Tell me how good Virgil Ortiz is. Explain. Why is he so good? Where's his belts? So you mean to tell me that Rolly Ramirez is a way better accomplished world champion than Virgil Ortiz? Rolly. He's accomplished more divisions than Rolly. I mean, Rolly's done more than Virgil? How many times did Rolly become a WBA world champion? How many times did Virgil become any champion? But who's a better fighter? Before you answer, I think you're going to say Virgil. Why? Why is Virgil a better fighter than Rolly? I can't tell. Rolly's way more accomplished. Explain why. He fought better competition is going to be your argument? He fought the who's who? Is that what you're going to say? He beat up way better fighters than Rolly? Is that what you're going to say? So, because he fought tougher fighters and he fought better opponents, for doing all of that, what did that give Ortiz? What did he win for doing so? Because according to Rolly, he didn't fight half the shit you fought, but he's way more successful. Go figure. Go figure. Reality is a motherfucker. And the truth is the truth. If we're telling the truth, Rolly is not a better fighter than Virgil Ortiz. Hell no. Virgil Ortiz is a way better fighter than fucking Rolly. Hands down. Virgil will rock fucking Rolly. But Rolly's doing better shit. Rolly fought Tank Davis. Rolly's payday with Ryan Garcia would pay for Virgil's last 5 fights together combined. The money that Virgil made in his last 5, 6 fights wouldn't match what Rolly made with Ryan. Why is that? But Virgil's the better fighter. Why is Rolly the more accomplished, making the more money? It goes to show you that in boxing, there are multiple things that play factors and that are involved in put in play here, aren't they? It's much more than you just being a great fighter. You got to be able to sell tickets, to have that it factor, so to speak, and that your fans come out to support you, or you'll just be a poor champion. There are champions that went in their entire career and never broke $1 million. Never. Not even close. Right? Here's Rolly crushing some numbers. He really is. Ryan Garcia, his numbers, come on, guys. So it goes to show you that this is also part entertainment. It's a sport, ain't it? Entertainment. And in an entertainment, you need to put asses in those seats. Sometimes in this sport, which is the one thing that hurts me, your purse is not viewed by your skill level. There are some fighters that are very skilled and going to die very broke. And there are fighters that are not as skilled and are millionaires. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank made a shitload of money. Ben Whitaker is about to make a shitload of money out there because of fans supporting their fighter. But is Ben Whitaker that dude? Hell no. Is Conor Benn or Chris Eubank those dudes? Hell no. Hell no. But their fans back them and they sell out stadiums. They get paid like better than championship fighters, those guys. Hats off to them for doing so. Hats off to fighters like Ben Whitaker, Conor Benn, and Chris Eubank. If you can do that, let me be perfectly honest with you right now, and I want you guys to understand this. the money that these fighters are making for getting their heads punched in, if you ask me, the money isn't worth it. So whatever Chris Eubank can squeeze out of these people, whatever Ben Whitaker can squeeze, bro, get every fucking dollar you can and cherish every dollar. Don't be foolish and spend it and all on these fucking crazy things. I mean, buy what you want because I love jewelry too. I'll buy a little bit of shit, but I'm not gonna buy one for every day of the month. Try to be dumb. One is cool, this, that, maybe two, great, right? But manage your money. Because if you ask me at the end of the day, the money isn't worth it. It's not worth it when 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, you can't even spell your own name. You're shaking like this. You can't even finish full sentences or thoughts. People are saying, this way, Howard, come this way. Yes, I'm coming. And here you come. And the old champions are talking to other champions. And, every now and then you can see it in Floyd Mayweather. Floyd, what do you think about this champion? I think he's a great fighter. Hell of a champion. Good boxer. Great weight division. I think we could do time. You see Floyd? You could see it's the punches there affecting him. And he got hit one of the fewest. Because everybody knows that the weight division, you don't pay the most ultimate price is the heavyweight because they don't cut weight. So they're fully plenished all the time. So a lot of the heavyweight champions, they look good. Like George Foreman, he talked fine all the way. Lennox Lewis's of the world, the Mike Tysons, they're fine, basically. Ali had Parkinson's on top of boxing. So that's what made his situation bad. It looked real bad. But Ali was going to have real bad signs. I think that the punches pushed him further along. Yeah, it affected him. But for the lower weight divisions, we pay the ultimate price because we cut weight. So we're taking punches to the head most of the times, partially dehydrated. Yeah. So we take the chance of getting knocked out the worst in the heavyweight division under heavyweight because we're all cutting weight. So that's when you pay the most ultimate. And if you ask me, the money is not worth it. It's not. That $3 million they paid Brian Norman Jr. to get hit like that, the money they paid Devin to take that beating against Ryan, they're going to pay for that. Yo, let me tell you something right now. Caleb Plant is going to pay for that fight against David the Monster Benavidez. He's going to pay for that. David the Monster Benavidez took like 3 years off his life. He sure did. If you know what you're watching, you've been around gyms long enough and you've seen that develop, like through your father, your uncle, if you have people in your family that are fighters and you watch it, that's when you most experience it, like because it's in front of your face. It's not just something you see every couple years. It's right there. So when you see it like that you understand it. You understand what's going to happen. They might be talking fine right now. To tell you the truth, holy shit. You know what might be affecting the Charlo twins right now? Might be concussion based, like them NFL players. Like the fucking that Spanish dude that killed them people, Hernandez. When they did the autopsy, they saw by his frontal lobe, he didn't know how to process emotion and shit. And the Charlo twins could be surely because you might think that this is all drugs or alcohol, but they're both going through it at like the same time. You see it in their speech, the way they talk. They could be showing early signs of getting hit too much if depending how young they started boxing, and every person's not the same. There's a guy that can take punches for 30 years and not show any signs. There's a guy that can take it for 10 years and be a vegetable. Your body wasn't built to take punches like my body was. But none of us know that until we're already there and it's too late. One guy could try cocaine one time and his heart blow up. One guy can do it for 40 years and nothing happens to that guy. Everybody's not the same. We're not built the same. So, nah, bro. Some of these ass whoopings, you're taking years. Yo, that ass whooping that Terrence Crawford gave to Errol Spence Jr. took 5 years off that man's life. He's going to stutter for that at some point in his life. I guarantee it. You got to pay for every punch. The human body wasn't designed to take punches to the face. They didn't make us in the regards that we were supposed to fight each other. No. Where you think concussions and rules are set in the NFL? If you get hit and you're going in that blue tent, you get more than 2 or 3 concussions in a year in a season, your season is done, Jack. That's why players don't want you to report concussions. Even if you got a concussion, he's going to be standing there going like this, saying, "No, I'm fine." Because if he reports it, you only got 2, I think it is. What is it, 2 or 3 in the NFL? Then your season is over. It's against the law to let you play. And in boxing, you can get a concussion every fucking round. You can go from one fight into the next fight still with a concussion if they let you. And sometime on the lower level, there's nobody watching you. You do that, you're going to hurt yourself. If you ask me, at the end of the day, the money's not worth it. Not for the price you pay at the end. Unless you can do some Shakur Stevenson shit where you're like the fewest boxer, like the Floyd, and Mayweather didn't get hit a lot. And look, he's showing signs. So, there's some tough dudes that took some hellacious ass whoopings. And they seemed like they were okay. They probably just had a great body. I think Julio Cesar Chavez, he shows signs, but I think he's pretty good for that fucking meat grinder of a face he has. Yo, Julio Cesar Chavez's face is pure leather. I bet you if you touch it, it's fucking hard. His face. It's like you can just look at it. It looks tough. You know what I mean? His face. It just, his nose is crushed. It's like this. It just looks like, his face just looks like fucking cement, bro. Right? Julio Cesar Chavez. Look at his face. And I think he talks okay. I mean, you can see, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, it's apparent. You can see the punches affecting him. But for as many fights that guy has been in, for the 100+ ring fights that he has, tack on the fact that Julio Cesar Chavez never hit the bag. He never hit a speed bag. He doesn't jump rope. He doesn't jog. The only thing he does 6 days out of the week is spar. That's all Julio Cesar Chavez did. He didn't believe that anything else worked. He said, why do I jump rope or hit a bag that has nothing to do with fighting? What has to do with fighting is fighting and experience. So tack on his 100 plus career fights and add another 3 plus 100 fights with sparring. That man, for as many fights as that man, that's why I think he still talks pretty good. He had a good body. His lights didn't get shut off quick. It was hard to knock that man out. Really hard. So his frame, his skeleton endured a lot of punishment. By my definition, that's probably the toughest human body I've ever seen in my life. Because I know of him. And just by looking at him, you can tell. You're like the fighter that's gonna pay one of the most ultimate prices, and we're actually gonna watch this. You guys are familiar with the bare knuckles and the UFC, right? You know that fighter Mike Perry? That guy, those fighters and those ass whoopings he took, 10 more years, I give it. He's not going to be the same. He threw the rest of his life away for a couple dollars. Look what his nose looks like. Look what his face looks like. He'll never enjoy that money. That bare knuckle fighting, that's a meat grinder of a sport. Your life expectancy as a fighter, what is it, 3 fights? Paulie went 1 fight or 2. Did you guys see what Paulie looked like after his fight? He literally looked like Frankenstein. They looked like he blown up and a bunch of little people put him together. 1 fight did that. He didn't suffer that much damage his entire career in boxing. His entire career. 1 fight in bare knuckle destroyed him. Imagine being in your prime and fighting in bare knuckle, and that's your first fight. How many times are you going to do that shit? Yo, that is a meat grinder. To each his own. To each his own. A fighter's a fighter. A fight's a fight. If we're talking about have bare knuckle out in the street, bare knuckle in a fucking ring, you're going to pay me money. If you're bare knuckle fighting in the street and you feel you still can do that shit, well, then fucking bare knuckle, who the fuck am I to tell you what to do? Do you? I wish you the best. I wish you the best, man. I don't want to see you guys. I didn't want to see Paulie look like that, go through that. That was brutal, Paulie. Damn, Paulie. You're that hard up for money right now? Wow. Paulie, I would have took a boxing match for that. They must have paid you a pretty penny. I hope they did, Paulie. And I hope they cover your medical expenses. Because that shit looked like it was bad, Paulie. I seen you the other day commenting. It's all healing up. You could see where the stitches are. Yo, he looked like Frankenstein, bro. 1 fight. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. All right, my man dropped a $5 super chat. Now he got my attention. Let's see what he's saying. Let's read let's start up at the top because he has a lot to say. Ben is very skilled and is a warrior. I think he does well against Rolly or Devin or All right. Opinions are like assholes when everyone has it. And he's in the right to his opinion. He has the right for it. Let's see what else he give him a shot. All right. Super chat $5. How do you know Connor can't hang when they don't give him a shot at Shakur or Rolly or even Haney? The UK fighters don't get their chances. You pay $5 to tell a lie? That's what you pay $5 for, to lie? I appreciate the super chat, but the reason why they don't get title shots or having is because doing part to themselves, unfortunately. If they're not in the same weight division, or they haven't fought the fighters or the guys in the top 10 or top 15 to rightfully get a shot at a title, then you don't deserve a shot at a title. When did Conor Benn or Chris Eubank Jr. ever move up through the ranking division, beat the guys in the top 10, put themselves in position to a title fight, then didn't get the title fight? Then you have something to say there, right? Or that they've been avoiding Conor Benn or Chris Eubank Jr., but no one's been avoiding them. They've never fought anyone of any caliber to be up there. Do you think because Conor Benn fought Chris Eubank Jr., that's never been a world champion in UK, and their fathers were successful, because of the way he came out of that fight, he deserves what? What does he deserve? When you fought, not in your weight division, a guy that was weight drained, that neither of you have ever been a world champion, how do you deserve to fight Devin Haney? Why don't you do something first? Why don't you come down to the 147, actually fight in 147, beat somebody in the top 20 at least. Then after you do that, beat someone in the top 10. Then make your case for a world title fight. Don't come out of left field, unaccomplished, fighting who? Who the fuck is Chris Eubank Jr., first of all? Who? What has he done? Who has he beat? Right? And then you're not even fighting him in your own weight division. So there's two fights that Conor Benn fought that meant absolutely nothing to his career. It didn't do anything for you in boxing. It might have did something for your pocket, for the fans, for the UK. That's great. There you go, young man. You guys settled the old family dispute, and you did it on a world stage. Okay. But what did you do? Who the fuck did you fight? Or why should you fight Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney? Why? Because of your name? Or because of your father's name? Because it's not because of what Conor Benn done. It's what your father did. And because who your father was, or because you're revered over there, you deserve what? A handout? You want to beg for something? Is that what you want to do? Because you didn't deserve anything. You didn't earn anything. You wanted something to be given to you without you making your way. Is that what you paid $5 for? To tell me that? Being good and exciting because you're a fan, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But because you believe he's exciting or you're his fan, doesn't make it right. So my guys get to do that to your heavyweight champion, to your cruiserweight guys, to your UK guys. My guys can come out of left field, fight no one, go up 2 weight divisions out there, and just demand a fight, sit at your hometown and say, yeah, I want to fight that guy. And you UK guys would have to accept that? Because the American came out of left field and say, I want to fight your guy. Would you accept that from the American? I hope you wouldn't go for that. If the shoe is on the other foot and your UK champion was accomplished and Devin Haney came in and didn't do shit, I would advise you not to go for that shit. If Devin Haney came in talking about he wanted to fight your guy that had belts, 3-division world champion, your Conor Ben was fucking doing the right thing. And Devin came in fucking mouthing it. Boy, don't go for that shit. Your guy was the better guy. Your guy was the more accomplished. Don't let the Americans outtalk you. Don't go for that shit. Just like I won't go for it the other way around. Conor Ben, you might have sold a lot of tickets in that stadium. And the tickets might have been $10, $25. But when Devin fights, he seems to be getting a lot of money. What, he signed a 3-fight deal with Turkey for $36 million? Why does Turkey pay a guy $36 million? Why did Devin Haney make more money than Conor Ben in his first fight? Why? Conor Ben and Chris Eubank Jr. didn't make that much money their first fight. But Devin Haney made, I think, $11 million fighting Jose. He trashed Conor Ben's payday. This second fight, I heard they didn't even make that much money, Conor Ben and Chris Eubank. But Devin Haney was in a main event this time. But Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, let's talk about that fight. How much money did Devin Haney make in that fight? Conor Ben didn't pass him then. And when you look at a Conor Ben fight, and you look out into the audience with Chris Eubank out there in the UK, I guess those might be UK celebrities, or I don't know what they look like or who they are, because when the camera keeps going by, I don't notice anybody. I don't notice any. They might be soccer players or some shit. I don't know those people. I don't know them. But when you go Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, take a look into the audience. Fucking, there's a rapper right there, NBA star, NFL star, NBA star, baseball player, movie actor, fucking award singing actress, fucking anybody can be in the audience. You know how much they paying for those tickets? $16,000 one ticket, $12,000, $25,000 front seat. Fucking Chris Eubank, Brian, and them dudes, $25. $30, $100 to sit over here, $2,000 to be in within the inner box. They're not making their kind of money. Them actors and them celebrities are paying a lot of money to sit right there in Las Vegas. You got fucking, is that Nicolas Cage? Fucking Nick Nolte? Fucking, who that? Denzel? Who that? Shaq, fucking all kinds of people. Jay-Z, he's sitting right there in New York City. Anybody show up in America. It might be smaller venue, but the amount of money they sell on those tickets, yo, it sells an entire section at a Ben Whitaker fight. The entire section. Just 2 seats in Las Vegas. Buys that entire section. So don't be fooled. Anyway, fight fans, listen, you guys are amazing. Whitaker lost already? What? Don't say that. What is the problem in here? We was just talking a whole bunch of shit. No, Whitaker didn't lose. We haven't even been watching that. I was just explaining to this guy. He's trying to tell me that Ben Whitaker made more money than Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. I said, hold up. Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. were a co-main event. They weren't a main event. The main event was David the Monster Benavidez against Anthony Yard. That was the main event. And then I tried to explain to him that although Ben Whitaker has like these big arenas, a lot of those tickets are not for a lot of money. And then although Las Vegas is small, some of those tickets, when you look at a Las Vegas Like when Floyd Mayweather's there with Tank Davis and shit, and Floyd Mayweather brings out all his friends. Whenever Floyd Mayweather's an attendant, you might be watching Tank Davis in the room, but you used to know when you used to back in the day go to a Tank Davis fight, Floyd Mayweather was going to be there. And a lot of people bought tickets and celebrities came out because Floyd was in the building. Once Floyd was in the building, everybody came out to get one more look at Floyd. And then Tank was in the ring. So they're paying $14,000, $20,000 for a seat just to be there like that. And I don't think they're paying 20 grand to be at a Ben Whitaker fight. That's all. He might sell bigger event venue. There's a lot more people in there, and they probably gave away the rest of the tickets to pack the rest, right? But he's not selling one ticket, not one ticket on the value of like a Ryan Garcia or a Tank Davis or shit, fucking Saul Canelo Alvarez. He's not selling them like that. Not yet. He might, one day he could get up there. Who knows? Who knows? You know, I hope Whitaker gets everything. And shit, I hope Whitaker makes $1 billion fucking dollars. $1 billion. I hope they pay him $3 billion for this fight. I hope so. Because like I said, I don't think the money's worth it. I hope these guys get every penny they deserve. I hope Ben Whitaker breaks fucking Mayweather's records. Gate records. I hope he makes so much fucking money. It's ridiculous. Every one of these fighters. May God be with them. May they cherish every moment and handle their finances. And I hope that at the end, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. You don't die broke. You don't foolishly spend all your money that you took all these punches for. I hope every one of these fighters get every penny and much more. Thank you guys. My name is Round One Sports Talk. Yo, please give me that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. And even though we've had back and forth, there has never been a text or a conversation in this chat that I didn't appreciate. You all have the right to your opinion. You all have the right to feel the way you feel. And you can come up here, and this is a safe platform where we could talk about boxing. And no matter if you feel that way or I feel this way, guess what? You were right. I was right. I had a great time. I hope you had an amazing time. My name is Round One Sports Talk. Peace.